Here's the deal, boys.
Yeah, I don't see you here, baby. Live show, and as I said in Twitter, the water is warm because Brian did pee in it.
I did, because I am actually sick.
Yes. Wait, you peed it? Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. You should not pee in the water anyways. But
I'm peeing right now. Damn it. Shane's really trying to co-opt the whole peed in the pools thing from me. So he's like, now he's just like every week is pounding it. No, it's Brian. It wasn't me.
Yeah. I just want to make sure that if we're both going to pee in the pool, you're doing it at least 50% of the time.
55%.
All right, fair enough.
Easily.
How are you doing today?
Not bad, bro. I did wake up sick. Shane and I had a great day yesterday. If you're a member, you know a little bit about it. During our show on Tuesday, during the members show on Tuesday, we said, listen, hey, tomorrow, Wednesday, we should be doing the Andor live show. And but if we're not, that means that something really good happened.
That's what we said.
We were hoping that we wouldn't be there. And you know what? We were not. So if that's a little hint for you, we can't say anything about it now because we signed a bunch of NDAs and whatnot. But we will be able to talk about it a little bit in the member section.
Maybe.
A little bit.
Maybe, yeah. We'll talk about it.
Tiny bit. Anyways, listen, it is going to be a great... What?
Just no, NDAs would suggest something official, and we are definitely not saying that.
No, we're not saying that.
Yeah.
We are not saying that.
Carry on. Okay. NDAs were not involved. Let's put it that
way. All right. I'm going to stop now before I get in trouble.
Please do. Please.
Listen, we got a great show today planned. You know, I'm going to start writing myself a script.
Is it okay if I take a bite of these keto pancakes? Because I'm really hungry.
Yeah, go ahead. You know what's funny? So I was, we have a Manscaped sponsor. What a fantastic sponsor this is, right? Not today, but for our video coming out this weekend.
Yeah, so don't click on them yet.
Yeah, don't go yet. Well, when you see the video this weekend, then you click on the Manscaped.
Right.
But I'm talking about right now because I was filming it, right? And a lot of our commercials that we do for people, it's like a lot of stock video and like animations and stuff, right? Because Shane's talking over it. But this one was so specific that I'm like, well, I have to film myself using the product, right? Well, here's the problem. 95% of this product can only be used in the shower.
And generally for below the waist products.
All right. So I'm in the shower and I have like studio lights set up and everything on the shower. And I have a camera on a tripod in the shower. And this is why it's hilarious. First off, my wife walks in to this whole setup and she's like, what the F are you doing?
I dare you to say I'm filming a movie.
And when I said, I'm filming myself. She goes, did you start like an OnlyFans or something? And I'm like,
It's
no,
called
it's
the
for a
grizzly
commercial.
bear.
She goes, what commercial needs you naked in the shower?
None, by the way.
I'm like, it's not, it's Manscaped, babe. She's like, okay. She walks away confused. And then here's the second funny part. I get the footage. I might not use the footage, by the way. I get the footage, and have you ever looked at yourself in the mirror and been like, damn, I got to eat some keto pancakes?
I'm literally eating keto
Okay.
pancakes. Yeah.
So I always look at myself, man, I'm never happy with my appearance. I look in the mirror and I'm like, damn, I got to lose weight. Okay, when you see yourself filmed naked, it's like 25 times worse. It is so bad. I don't know if there's a big enough blur filter.
Well, I think the funniest part of this whole thing is that you didn't even need to film yourself in the shower at all. And it's kind of like this, just the fact that
I did. Yeah, in the script, you talk about it being waterproof and
I was
shaving your dingleberries.
I wanted to find out if you actually would do it, and so that's
okay. Well, congratulations. Also,
you guys are welcome for this.
I must be the stupidest user of this product because I cut myself multiple times.
You're not supposed to say that.
All right,
I really don't want you to say that.
I'm kidding. I didn't cut myself with it. It's fine. I did shave my chest though in the commercial, and there is a healthy blur filter. I hope you guys like it. It's good. It's really quite funny.
And now
and
we all have more information than we ever needed.
and when I'm finishing editing it, I'm going to send it to the Manscaped people. I'm literally going to send it and say, I'm sorry.
With like little like toilet paper things all cuts all over for where they're like, you're doing it wrong.
You're doing it wrong, sir.
Oh, what are we talking about today? Let's go through this, huh?
Well, we're talking about David Tennant playing the 14th Doctor.
What?
It sounds really good until you really realize that it's a big old fat bait and switch. And
yeah.
I'll get into that. Also, the battle for Twitter. Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, you know what? I figured since this is kind of a thing that's really like just sucking all the air out of the atmosphere of the Earth right now, that we should just kind of follow what Elon's talking about each week on Twitter.
Someone from CNN was complaining about the blue checkmark thing or whatever, and they're like, "Why would you have to pay $8 to be verified?" And he just responded with, "That'll be $8, sir."
There's some really great tweets that we're going to go through today.
Yes, we're also talking about Star Trek Discovery today. Anyways, apparently they are doing away with the warp drive.
No. They are not doing away with it. Will warp drive be gone forever? It's a hypothesis based on what they can do now that they can replicate the spore drive in the future.
Whatever.
I mean, they can replicate it.
Well, that's
so why
right.
They
can. Yeah. Okay. My bad. So yeah, because apparently they can actually use that in the.
And anybody can plug into it now, so why not?
It's a really bad idea, but we'll talk about it.
Yeah, definitely. There's some good
weekly. What?
There's actually something good about it, but yeah.
I disagree. There's nothing good about the spore drive.
When I tell you what it is, you'll be like, "Oh yeah, that is a good idea."
Oh, because that means that they're not going to be Star Trek anymore. Okay, we'll get into it. The Weekly Terry.
I just realized you have a Baywatch shirt on.
Yes, I do.
How did that happen?
I like Baywatch, dude. I mean, listen, I don't.
I love Baywatch. That's like.
I'm sorry. Someone tell me. Am I the only person that likes Baywatch?
Like right now, or back when Baywatch was out?
Yeah, back when I was 13, bro. Not now.
That's what I'm saying. When you were 13, you absolutely loved Baywatch.
Yes, and I appreciate
every 13-year-old male, red-blooded, liking women, males
or men. Hey, Jason Momoa's in Baywatch.
Got it.
Where do you think I learned about Jason Momoa?
Like he's kind of in Baywatch. He's not in Baywatch. He's like kinda.
He's in it. He takes his shirt off.
All right.
That's all I know.
Doesn't look like the same Jason Momoa.
No, he looks way better now. What's up? Oh, also, we're doing Star Trek Legacy. Oh, God. Okay. We got to get a better name for this. Shane wrote down Star Trek Legacy Twitter log entries. I don't like that name.
I don't either, actually.
I don't think I like personal log, Twitter Trek. I don't like that either.
I like what you put down, actually, in, I don't know where you put it. You put, like, Twitter. Where did you put that at? You wrote it down somewhere, but it was actually pretty good. It was like
Twitter Trek?
Twitter track or something like that, yeah. But the thing is that we're going to hold off on it this week, actually, because I couldn't find any tweets that weren't, like, insanely political.
Right, yeah.
Like, I went through all, like, the Star Trek people, and I'm like, okay, you guys got to talk about something other than how much you hate the other side of the aisle.
Yeah, I was about to mention that, but then I got hung up on the name. We're canceling the Twitter. Because for now we're gonna call it Twitter Trek. We're canceling Twitter Trek. Twitter. What the F?
Twitter
Trek this week because all the people we would go to for tweets are just spitting nothing but visceral. So,
well, and it's not even like fun visceral. Like I would do it if it was like kind of funny or like some cool stuff. But it's literally stuff like there are certain people that need to just burn in hell,
and it's really bad.
And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, we don't need to.
Yeah, so it's not fun. So, and we want to have fun. So we'll be back next week when there's some fun stuff.
Yeah, there will be because there is often fun stuff.
Yeah. That said, also, if you are not already following people on Twitter, you shouldn't. So
just come here for the good stuff.
Yeah, because like come here for the curated stuff. Because like if you like these people on TV shows, you'll dislike them after you see their tweets.
Possibly, you might agree with them,
or maybe you agree with them. I don't know, but that's not. I can't think of any reasonable person agreeing with these week's tweets. These week's tweets. Jesus, tweets hard word. Also, Quantum Leap. Ben didn't leap looking for Sam. Well, our video sort of covered that, but we know who did.
Well, yeah, but this is about somebody who confirms basically that.
Right. And if you haven't seen our video yet, our big video, go watch it. I'll put it in the link in the description. Shane can put it in chat right now if he wants. It's great.
All right.
It didn't get a lot of views yet, so go check it out. Also, Black Adam box office milestone. And you know how much I like to talk about Black Adam because Jason Momoa is my first man crush, but my second man crush is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. That's for sure. And my third man crush, William Shatner. In his 90s.
Nice. Right now.
Right now. Yeah. Not the older, younger, handsome one. The current one.
The current one, yes. Yeah. I'd like to see him filmed in the shower. What would that look like? Manscaped. We should ask Bill to do a Manscaped ad for us in the shower. Because if his body is any indication of what his face looks like, he's doing pretty good.
He's gonna send us an agent request for like $120,000.
It'll definitely cost at least $150.
And I'm like, listen, Manscaped, we got a great idea. We can get you Bill Shatner for this Manscaped commercial. Really? Yes. But it's going to cost $102,000 because we have to give him $100,000.
It's going to cost $102,000 and we're going to keep two of it.
Yes.
Just because we had to film it.
We're splitting two for the work involved.
Yeah.
Quantum Leap is handling LGBTQ plus characters the right way. I don't know if that's the full thing, actually.
I don't know, but I ran out of letters, so
just to be respectful, let me find out what it is. Okay, no, so it's actually
you can say you can say LGBTQ plus because it's plus any letters I missed.
Well, technically now, I'm not trying to like dog you here, but technically now it's
I don't feel dogged.
2SLGBTQIA plus.
No. Listen, here's my problem. Listen, normal human beings can only remember so much. So credit for trying to get it right the first time, period.
Just a quick Google
I'm
search.
not going to change it every time it gets changed something, and then I have to like figure out a new way to put it out. It's just not going to be that way. I think everybody knows that we're talking about this community, and it's more respectful to say this than to say like, you know, the pride community. You know what? We should just say the pride community. That actually would be easier.
Except for one of those things stands for not proud. I'm kidding. Imagine that. No, so yeah. So what Shane meant was IA plus community. You're right. No, you're right. I'm just giving you a hard time. I can't remember all that stuff. I had to Google search it. Things are being added all the time. But Quantum Leap is handling the LGBT community the right way.
Yes, and Ernie Hudson has a really great story on how that is, and I thought we should share it.
Shane signed up for Ernie Hudson's OnlyFans over the weekend. Can you guys tell?
That would be cool.
I would actually sign up.
I wonder if Ernie Hudson will do a Manscaped ad for us. I mean, after Quantum Leap, who knows what he's got, you know?
Oh, God, you got me. I'm not a little there. James Gunn confirmation. He will be returning the Zack Snyder Justice League DCEU. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
They changed it. It's now DCU?
It's DCU, not DCEU.
Okay, but it used to be DCEU.
Yeah, they want to match MCU. I feel like.
I mean, no, I'm with it. I like DCU. I never liked DCEU. I was always like, why it's like extended universe? Like, no, I feel like when you go DC extended universe, you're basically not committing to the whole DC package. You're like, this stuff is like over here, this extended universe. We're not like.
Yeah, I think they wanted to be different than Marvel. So that's why, because they didn't want to be DCU, because Marvel was already at the MCU.
They don't own the word universe.
I get it, but they did it first. Like Marvel, like drug that out and made it good, and so they didn't want to look like they were copying. I'm almost guarantee you they threw the E in there, but they're doing the right thing. They're knocking the E out, and I think we found something that's not being talked about that kind of proves James Gunn is going to be focusing on the characters we want.
That's fantastic. You know, technically it should be the DCCU. MCU stands for Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Oh, you're right.
So technically it should be the DCCU. But maybe they're like, no, we're going to one-up it. Everything's connected.
Well, and Marvel's not really, that isn't right either, because now they're not just doing cinema, they're also doing television. So they kind of messed up their own thing.
The MCTU.
The MCSU.
All right. Also, Russo brothers are not returning to Marvel for a long time, but that means at some point they may. I gotta tell you, and I'm not dogging it Marvel. Like I know people here like Marvel too, but like I feel like Marvel is just dying. It's like slow. It's like slowly. Attrition is slowly, or entropy or whatever is slowly dragging this entire once absolutely fantastic franchise down because politics and so many issues. But you know, a big part of it is like you see these big names like the Russo brothers and well, specifically them, and just like, we'll show up eventually someday, maybe. Yeah. They've already done their good movies, and we don't, you know.
There is some good stuff, and I got a reason why they won't be coming for a long time, which actually you might think is cool. Explanation when we get to it, but also you got to remember there are a couple of cool Marvel things coming that we're looking forward to, like Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and things like that. So
yeah, but they lost James Gunn.
Well, but 3 is going to come out.
It's going to come out, but that's James Gunn's last hurrah.
Well, I'm okay with that.
And lastly. Our last topic will be Henry Cavill cannot wait to talk to James Gunn about Superman. And this is great because Henry Cavill is like quitting all of his jobs. Like, I'm not doing Witcher. I'm not doing the James Bond thing. Well, we'll talk about it inside this. I'm not doing James Bond. Like, he quit a bunch of like overseas stuff. He's like, I'm focused. And you're like, oh. Yes. And he's like, now where's James Gunn? Get me a meeting. And you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I can't. We need to talk about the Watcher stuff. So let's talk about it during that segment. We'll talk. You know, Henry Cavill not being on the Watcher. The Witcher. You're right. So that'll be fun.
All right. So that's it. apparently we have a lot to talk about today, so it's going to be a good day.
It'll be a great day. It's going to be fun.
All right.
Strap in.
Strap in.
I almost said strap on, but that would have been really wrong.
Strap
So
on.
strap in. Yeah.
Strap on and bend over. I mean,
strap in and get a drink.
Get a drink, boys. It's about to get crazy.
Mm.
All right, this first story though is about to make me crazy. So,
Oh man, yeah, I thought it was good news. Like you had me all going. Now you're just saying like it might be bad news. So,
see, I blew the lead here because like I purposely left things out because I wanted you to be excited, and then I was gonna drop it down hard.
that is a jerk thing to do to your partner.
No,
to,
it's
like, try
great to do
force
on.
you, you know?
No, it's great to do on stream though. It shows people, how you're feeling in real time.
Yeah, but then I'm like caught off guard. But that's okay. Let's say hi to the folks. Doomed Huh, welcome. Archmage Frey, Anthony Mark, Heart Girl. Appreciate your comments, Heart Girl. She hits every one of our videos with a thanks. We appreciate that. Thank you. Jeremy Snyder. Sup, Shane and Brian. Sup, Jeremy. Let's see. Atheist for the Cause. Paul O'Kelly. Good to see you. And you guys did a lot of talking. Anima Confusa. David Nunya, you finally made it to one of the shows. You've been a while. Matthew Guest, good to see you. And Kenneth LaRoque has joined us. So let's have a good show, guys. Glad to have you all here.
I unmuted just to cough. My bad. This is why I'm tired. Okay, let's start the show. We're gonna start talking about Doctor Who. So let me.
And Chappie, let's get Chappie in there too. Hey, Chappie.
What up, Chappie? Hey there. All right, here we go. We are talking about Doctor Who. We're talking about the news specifically about David Tennant, who played the 11th Doctor or 10th Doctor. Well, no, it's technically the 10th.
Yes.
But it's actually not. In canon, he'd be the 11th.
Why is that?
Because the War Doctor was introduced as the 9th.
Oh, yeah. Okay, in canon, but not in order of Doctor's appearance.
Right. So I can hear myself a little bit in the background. I'm not sure how what's going on there, but
I don't know either.
All right. So, anyways, the 10th. Okay, we gotta stop. I can hear myself like actively in your background.
You're not coming through anywhere. Like everything's muted. I don't know.
Well, let's find out. Testing 1, 2. No, yeah, it's definitely your speakers. Because I just muted you and played it.
Can you still hear yourself? Because they're almost all the way
Hey
down.
there. Yeah, a little bit. But it's okay.
Yeah.
We're going to have to go from there.
All right.
Yeah. So we are talking about Doctor Who. And specifically David Tennant, who played the 11th Doctor or 10th Doctor, however you want to look at it. He is coming back to play not the 10th or 11th Doctor. And not the 14th or 15th Doctor, really. They're acting like he's coming back to play the next Doctor. But what's really happening is a little suspect. So,
well, just so you know, David Tennant is my favorite Doctor. Of all the Doctor Who peeps, he's my favorite.
Right.
I enjoyed the show that much more when he was doing it.
Yeah, and, it's a toss-up between David Tennant and Matt Smith for me. And, and to be fair, I also loved Christopher Eccleston. And I even, like, when it comes to the older Doctor Who, classic Doctor Who, I loved Tom Baker. I loved a lot of the Doctors, actually. And I also liked, honestly, I sort of liked Peter Capaldi.
Okay.
For the first season, it got a little wonky. When it got a little down and depressing and a little political. I did not like Jodie Whittaker. And it wasn't because she was a woman. It was because the show sucked. It just did. The story was bad. Everything was about her being a woman, and very little actual story was told that mattered or made sense. It was just bad. So the new
they should have focused on her playing the Doctor and not being a girl Doctor. See,
right.
they should have ignored the fact that she was a girl, and that would have been perfect.
Yeah. They leaned into it. Anyways, so we get this from Screen Rant. They talk about David Tennant playing the 14th Doctor, right? Well, here's exactly what it said, and I'll explain to you exactly why this is not a good thing, actually. And I'm not one of those guys that's constantly trying to down Doctor Who. We almost never talk about Doctor Who because we're not watching it. But when we heard this news, we're like, oh, well, we like David Tennant, so maybe we'll start talking about it again. But
yes, that's what I was hoping, but apparently I was being tricked.
Bamboozled is the word.
Nice word.
So what they say at Screen Rant is David Tennant is confirmed as playing the 14th Doctor, or 15th, however you want to look at it. Not reprising his role as the 10th Doctor. But why? Before the Doctor Who centenary special, The Power of the Doctor, Sex Educations, and I cannot say this person's name. Okay, you got to help me.
Well, you got to remove it. Nakuti Gatwa.
Okay, say it again.
Nakuti Gatwa.
Nakuti Gatwa. Thank you.
That's what I'm here for.
Nakuti Gatwa was announced as the next Doctor, taking over from for Jodie Whittaker. But that proved somewhat misleading when Whittaker regenerated back into David Tennant. And by the way, when I saw that, I was like, oh, sweet, because this last season was horrible. I mean, it was so bad. I have literally been watching Doctor Who now out of, I guess, loyalty, because I've watched it since I was a child. But oh my goodness, the last season of Peter Capaldi's Doctor Who and Jodie Whittaker's Doctor Who were just atrocious. Well, showrunner Russell T Davies has since revealed that Gatwa will portray the 15th Doctor after David Tennant's second tenure as the iconic Time Lord finishes. When does it finish, Shane?
It finishes
6 episodes into the season.
6 episodes into the season. Yeah.
Okay.
That's not good.
We're going to switch back to full here so I can really get into it. Here's the deal, boys. This is what you call... Girls, I'm sorry I was doing the... Thank you for misleading.
Here's the deal, boys.
I know what you're doing, but, we just got to include everybody.
Whatever. Here's the problem. The last 2 seasons of Doctor Who has been so atrociously bad, so just franchise damaging, that they have lost viewers on a scale that would force them to bring back what is the majority of people's favorite character to play the Doctor. But that's not actually what's happening. They're bringing him back in to get you back on board, right? Just to swap him out for Gatwa. The showrunner may have brought back the famous showrunner that everyone liked. They might have brought back the best Doctor, but in reality, it's still the same Doctor Who. In fact, they're going to swap him out. They're going to bring in Gatwa, who is playing also the first gay Doctor, and his
first Black Doctor, right?
And I guess the first Black Doctor. I didn't even think about that. I guess the first Black Doctor too.
This is shameful.
And then additionally, his companion. And in no way am I being like mean. I don't like these. I'm not being mean about the color of his skin or sexuality, whatever. I'm saying that this is so obviously a bait and switch. His companion, whose name is Rose, which sounds like the most famous companion we all know,
right, is
actually the first trans companion. So it's going to be a gay Doctor with a trans companion. And what we're going to do is we're going to introduce it with David Tennant, right? And then over a period of 6 episodes, they're going to try to swap you in right back in to Jodie Whittaker's Doctor Who, to the same politically charged garbage Doctor Who we've been watching now for 4 seasons.
Right. The reason why it's shameful is because if they had any guts whatsoever, they would just go from Jodie Whittaker straight to this new Doctor. And that's fine. They can pick whoever they want to do it. But by inserting David Tennant, it's like this way to like really try to get people back on board so that they're watching, But they realized the Jodie Whittaker views were so poor,
So bad.
like they're gonna bring Tennant in to kind of bring up the views, and then saddle them with this other doctor. And listen, there's a time and a place for everything. But if you're gonna do it and you want to do it, then you need to own it. Don't try to trick people. Just have your female doctor, and then have your first gay black doctor, okay, and just go in with it. And let me tell you what, do this. Just write the show. Don't write him as a gay black doctor. Just write him as the doctor.
Right.
Write Jodie. Write the girl as the doctor. Write the first trans sidekick as just a regular sidekick.
Right. Yeah, it's a regular companion.
That's
Just
how you do it.
and and it's great because like we're gonna be talking about Quantum Leap here pretty soon. After this, or shortly after the segment, and they are actually doing it correctly. So here was my thoughts on this, and I had this enigma, right? This sort of eureka moment. Someone equated a television franchise or movie franchise to like a structure, a house, right? And they were like, you can't really mess with the foundation of a house. And I was like, you got a good point there, because a lot of these TV shows, a lot of these movies, they're like these beautiful houses, right? That everyone wants to be a part of. Everyone wants to live in. They want to drive by and see it. They want to buy it. They want to be a part of this beautiful house, right?
Right.
And over the years, this house has additions being added onto it. Rooms, a pool, a jacuzzi, a new yard, a new, porch with a swing, maybe some new flowers. Constantly, over the years, people are adding on to this beautiful house that everyone likes. And that's okay, because sometimes the additions don't work out. Sometimes you have a room that was built in the 80s and it's obvious and it's not great. And now we don't like it. But you know what? The rest of the house is fine. So like, you don't like this one room, this one bathroom, this one addition, but the rest of the house is fine. What we've been doing though over the last like 5 or 6 years or decade now is instead of adding on to the house, these existing franchises, we're actually like going back in time, right? And we're modifying the structure of the house, like the actual physical foundation of the house. We don't have the balls to actually add an addition. And instead, we're trying to go back and retcon everything that made it great and change the foundation of the house itself. And then you wonder why when people come by, they're like, what is this garbage?
Right.
This is not the house that I came to look at. I don't want to live in this house with this crumbling foundation. You know what else they did in the last season of Doctor Who that drove me nuts? They gave Doctor Who like an origin story. And here's the... So before, what we knew about Doctor Who was he was a Time Lord that stole the TARDIS. He was possibly the last Time Lord, and he regenerates. And there wasn't much. The rest of it was mystery, and that was okay. And he would have these moments where he would be like, yeah, and he would say like, oh, I experienced that, or you don't know my name, or whatever. What they did this last season, they're like, we're gonna give him a proper origin story, and then they go back all the way to Gallifrey, and they're like, the Doctor was this child, this little girl that was regenerating, and this other girl, a scientist, found him and found her or whatever, and they completely modified. And first off, he didn't need an origin story.
Right.
Him being a Time Lord, the last Time Lord, was enough. But then when you made him like this, little girl of color, which it's not, I don't have a problem with that, but you're changing foundation. You also remove the whole point of the number system. Why does he even need to have 12 regenerations if he's been around 4 million times prior to that first Doctor? It's just so weird, man.
Well, we need to say it like it is, because there just should be no tap dancing around it. You give him an origin story, so you can, and you very nice way of saying, the foundation, changing the foundation. They wanted Doctor Who to have more of a, who wanted him to have the LGBTQ beginnings. They wanted, it wasn't good enough to have an LGBTQ Doctor. They needed to make it so that inherently that character was LGBTQ. you know, and that's what's wrong with, like you said, all of the shows now that are doing this, that are trying to do this because they feel like that's the only way to like make the world catch up with whatever's happening.
Star Trek
Like,
Discovery is a perfect example. They literally went back in time and they added on to the foundation by changing our favorite character Spock, giving him a sister, you know, and then sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, so this is just what's happening in general. And so it's an intentional attempt to change the character, and that's what makes fans upset. It's not because you're making them a girl or a black girl or a, you know, whatever. It's not, has nothing to do with
color,
that.
yeah, whatever.
It doesn't matter. It's the fact that you're intentionally doing it to make a change when it's just not necessary. Create new characters. You know, there's plenty of science fiction out there that you can just create a brand new character that is all of the elements that you want society to have, and make it good. Make a good show so it's popular and people love it. You know, go do it. You know, don't change everything else, you know, so that way it's like, I don't know, it's very destructive in a way.
Yeah, it's destructive, and it's regressive.
They
Don't mess
think
with
it's world building, or they think it's like helping society or making society better.
It's not.
But it's not. It's actually it's almost saying, you know, you really didn't maybe earn this place.
Right.
Here. You didn't earn it. You know, it's like we say about writing in shows. Like, if a character doesn't earn it, then they don't deserve it. And you can feel it. You know when it doesn't make sense because they didn't earn that thing in the show.
Right.
And so by doing this, it cheapens the young black girl. It really cheapens it for her because it's not earned, and you have to like say, well, you know, Doctor Who was always just basically they started as a young black girl, you know, and it's like that wasn't earned,
right?
You know, and so instead of doing that, just start over, you know, start over with something else. So
right, and that's why I said like it was like the foundation of a house, because when you add on to a house or whatever, a franchise, like there's going to be things that some people don't like. There's going to be seasons people don't like, or characters or whatever that you don't like. I've been watching Star Trek since the very beginning, since I was a child. There are plenty of episodes of Voyager that I think are like the worst thing I've ever seen on TV.
Right.
But I still absolutely adore Voyager. Like so you can add on to a show and a franchise and a movie franchise or whatever, and you can make bad decisions and you can make poor stuff, but that's not the end of it. When you go back and you ruin the foundation itself and you start damaging the foundation, you lose entire fan bases, aka Star Trek. We are constantly trying to tell people, like, look, hey man, Star Trek, it's not over. It had a bad run. Yeah, they messed with the foundation. Yeah, they messed with the canon. Like, there were some problems, but it's being course corrected. But so many people are just like, nah, I'm done. It's over. Yeah. It's over for me. A lot of people for Doctor Who, it's over. David Tennant might get them to tune in, but the second they realize they're being bamboozled,
preached to,
right?
Well, they're being bamboozled and they're being preached to. That's a big deal. You know, nobody wants to be preached to. Nobody wants to be talked down to.
Right.
You know, nobody wants to be saying, you know, that your viewpoint is wrong, and now we're going to tell you what the right viewpoint is, because everybody is entitled to their own viewpoint. I'll tell you what, why don't you just have your characters have their own viewpoint, and then we'll agree or not agree,
right?
Instead of telling us what we need to believe.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what the story is about, really. It's like, and I hate to start off with negative stuff, because I know Shane was actually pretty happy about this. Right?
I was like, David Tennant's
awesome. Coming back. You're like, oh, now I can watch Doctor Who again. Sweet.
Well, he was a great doctor, and that's what I want to see. I want to see somebody play a great doctor. That's all I care about.
Right. So that sucks, because I feel like Doctor Who is like this timeless. It used to be this timeless franchise that has been so mismanaged over the last 4 or 5 seasons that I don't think it'll ever be what it once was. And now Disney has bought the rights to the U.S. version of Doctor Who.
Not surprised.
No, not surprised at all. But how is that going to work? Like, are they going to make a Doctor Who?
Different Doctor Who?
Yeah, are they gonna make a different Doctor Who that's playing alongside of the UK version?
They're probably going to be two different things. They have to be, unless they're just going to market Doctor Who. Maybe they want to do some Doctor Who thing at Disney. We don't really know if they're even going to make new content. Because right now the only way to see Doctor Who is through BBC.
Oh, HBO.
Or HBO too, but because they bought those rights. But that may change with Disney buying the rights now.
Right. Yeah.
So it may all go through Disney. Maybe they just want it on Disney Plus.
Yeah, I read somewhere that they were talking about making a US version. Maybe it's a movie or something. I don't know. I don't know. But you know what? What I do know is that Disney's track history right now is not great. So, Super Chat from Marvel Nation. Thank you, PJ. Don't ever let the Popcast get woke.
That's right. Yeah. Well, it's funny, that term woke. I'm so glad you brought that up, because woke really is kind of like become this encompassing word for a whole bunch of things, kind of a sense of like what's changing and what's and with our country. And I would say we are always going to tell the truth. We're always going to be honest, and we will never do anything for the sake of doing something, which I think is what PJ is saying there.
Yes. Yeah. Frankly speaking, that's not because like we're like these like freedom fighters. We just don't know anything else to do. Like I don't even know how people keep their bull crap in a line. Like, hey, who are you supporting this week? First, you virtue signal about Elon Musk, and then you turn around and you go the opposite way the second he does something that's opposite. I mean, like, pick a lane. And so instead of me having to constantly figure out what lane I'm in, I'm just going to go ahead and stay in the lane I'm by default and just be honest.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, and this is a great segue. We're talking about Elon Musk.
And the battle for Twitter.
The battle for Twitter.
Week 2.
Dun, dun, dun.
Because we missed the first week. We were on our live show when the news dropped, when Elon brought the sync into Twitter and to like let that sink in.
Yeah, I told someone yesterday that's a $55 billion joke.
I mean, I guess, yeah.
I gotta be honest, though, his face though on that video was like, he was giddy the whole time. He was so happy that he was getting to drag that heavy ass sink into that office.
He's pretty oblivious, I think, in a lot of ways.
Yes.
Like, I don't think he realizes like sometimes what he's saying or what he's doing,
Right.
But we do have some interesting stuff here. We want to just kind of keep everybody updated, because I know not everybody here is a Twitter person. But Twitter seems to be kind of the center of the universe right now for what's happening. And so we thought it would be cool to just kind of talk about it, right?
That's why a lot of people are so upset that Elon bought Twitter. Because even though Twitter is actually like the smallest social media platform out of the big ones, it does sort of shapes ideas, and it shapes narratives, and it shapes who's getting support and who's not. Because even though it's the smallest one, a lot of the most influential people are on Twitter. So a lot of normal users might not care about it, but a lot of the most influential people on the planet are on Twitter. And so, unfortunately, Twitter ends up being a really important platform. And I gotta tell you, and I'm repeating this from someone told me yesterday, what Elon Musk should have done was buy it and then delete it.
Probably would have been the best thing for our society, is just to get rid. But but the thing is like it would have just gone someplace else.
Right.
Like somebody, it would have just the conversation would have gone. So it's like closing down your favorite bar. You know, like they're just going to go drink.
It would have gone to Truth Social or Gab or one of those other places. Hey, Jeremy Snyder just said the podcast brought to you by Red Bull. Not yet, but I'm telling you, as this is week 73, Red Bull. Let me get a sponsorship.
Nice. You know what? You're just giving them free advertising. They're never going to do it. What you have to do is you have to go back there and go, okay, Redbubble or Red Bull, this is the last time. The last time I'm showing it, and like pretend to like break down the entire wall of Red Bulls.
Yeah. Listen,
Maybe
Red Bull,
they'll respond.
I'm gonna switch over to the Rock's Zoa energy drink if you don't give me a sponsorship.
You know, one time I hit up Mountain Dew and I'm like, listen, we really want to be a sponsor for you, right? You know, and like we'll do this, that, and the other thing. And they're like, yeah, we don't. You're not important enough.
Oh, this was back during the Rant days. I remember that.
That was a while back, yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be different now. I think we might have a bit more clout now. Okay. So let's talk about Elon and the battle for Twitter.
All right.
Because we got some tweets we would like to share with you guys today.
And we're going to go through them kind of a little bit in reverse.
Okay.
So we're going to start with the most current and kind of work backwards. And we're only going to go back a week because this is week 2 of Elon owning Twitter.
All right. So where do you want to start then?
Just start at the first link.
Oh, the very first link.
Yeah.
Oh, the very first link. I thought that we weren't backwards. My bad.
I mean, it's backwards the way I listed them.
Oh, I see. Good job,
Yeah.
Shane. You're great.
I do what I can.
You're a smart guy, man. All right.
Sometimes.
The first one is Elon says, it's a poll, a Twitter poll. Advertisers should support. And you had 2 options, freedom of speech or political correctness.
And it's interesting because, the take on this is very interesting because I haven't figured out which side of the political aisle is really freedom of speech, because I want to say that whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, you believe in free speech, but only in your way of free speech. Like you believe in it in your, like the way you see free speech should be, right? So the fact that 21% of the people think that political correctness that is what advertisers should support makes me wonder who that's coming from. You know what I mean? Because that's not really, I think he was trying to be tongue in cheek here, but
does that not terrify you though?
Well,
2.7 million people voted on this.
Yeah, so that would be approximately 40 million people.
40,000?
I'm sorry, 400,000 people.
Yeah, so 400,000 people said they would rather not have freedom of speech and instead worry about political correctness. I mean, like, and here's the deal. Maybe let's just make sure everyone understands what our version of freedom of speech is. Ready? It's freedom of speech. It's not freedom of consequences.
I love that.
But it's freedom of speech. You can say whatever you want. Now, there are consequences to saying things. You might lose an Adidas sponsorship, Kanye. Right? You might get suspended from Facebook, President Trump.
Well, you might not be liked by a whole bunch of people, any person.
You might be disliked. You might lose a brand deal. You might not be able to get a job at CNN or whatever. Like it's not freedom of consequences, but your speech should not be policed by the government or by social media platforms.
Right.
Because social media platforms, even though they're private businesses, are still town squares in a way. And I understand that there's no place for them to exist legally, right? And still be protected. So what we're doing is we're doing this thing where we just either expect the social media platform to actually operate evenly within their terms of agreement, within their terms of service, or we expect them to be forced to follow the Second Amendment, right? I'm sorry, the First Amendment. First Amendment. But we cannot expect these social media platforms to do what's right or constitutional. And in order for them to have the same protections they have, so we can also not expect the government to get involved. What we need to do is we need to have a general consensus that, look, you're not free of consequences for saying something stupid or right or wrong or whatever, but you should be allowed to speak, and your bullhorn, your platform should not be removed. Like you should, even no matter how small or big it is, you should be able to speak. Now, people should be able to react to your speech. The only time that bad ideas turn into really cancerous things is when you pull those bad ideas out of the sunlight and you hide them under a rock. Okay? Bad ideas die in the sun, just like mold and cockroaches. Bad things, when they're put out into the ether, will shrivel up and die. The good things will thrive. So when you go, hey, we're going to deplatform this person or remove their ability to speak or completely ignore our own current terms of service, enact new retroactive rules inside of our terms so that we can then ban someone that we don't like, that is the definition of anti-free speech.
And here's the thing is and this is why I said the perception of what free speech is really important. And I know we're going to talk about this on a Raw Rant next week, so I don't want to go too deep into free speech itself. Because some countries, there is no version of free speech. America has a protected free speech, but not everybody does. And so people don't necessarily agree that free speech is a good thing. But there's a terms of service, and it's very tough. Like, let's you say we're not going to be no racist comments, no anti, religious we don't we're not against religion or creed or sexuality, or all those things, let's say. The problem with that is that, let's say they get rid of certain words. Well, then people try to get around that by using other types of things, right? And so then the goalpost gets moved to include that. And so what happened with Twitter is it just kind of kept growing until it started removing more and more ideas. And then it was like, who gets to decide what's free, what's proper speech and what's not?
And that is the biggest problem, though, Shane. People are so worried about Elon Musk because Elon Musk is in this place where they don't really know what his political divide is. And Twitter liked it when their entire trust and safety board was nothing but hard leftist people.
Right.
So you have, no, in the words of Robert Picard here, no bigotry, no hate, no sedition, blah, blah, blah. Unless I agree with them.
Well, what's funny is I like what he says here is right. Like this is right. Like, you're right. Nobody should support bigotry, hate speech. I can't really read it.
Well, he says no one should support bigotry, hate speech, sedition, incitement to violence, election denialism. Okay, hold up. So I agree with bigotry, hate speech, sedition. Sure. No one should support that. Advertisers shouldn't support that. But who is deciding what is bigotry? What is hate speech?
Yeah, that's what I was getting to. So, so finishing the thought here, all these things are good if it's a black and white thing, if it's a yes or no thing, if it's if there's an absolute way to draw lines between it, then you're right. It's not a big deal. But you can't just throw that out there as a blanket statement, because what one person thinks is hate speech, another person does not. What one person thinks is a conspiracy, another person does not. And, who is, ask, you could ask Robert Picardo this, loved him on Star Trek Voyager, but who gets to decide what those things are, and right. Once we give someone the ability to make that decision for us, and we turn it into a law, now freedom of speech doesn't exist. Because right. So it is difficult. Now Twitter itself can be like, look, we're not going to allow these words or these types of things. And if that's what they agree upon because they're their own business, then they have the right to do that, as long as they apply it to everyone across.
Apply it evenly. Right. Yeah.
So we should move on to the next tweet, because they're going to definitely, there's more about this. So.
Okay. All right. But please apply it evenly, because it's not being applied evenly right now on any social network. Next tweet.
I thought this was pretty funny, and regardless of what you believe. So if you guys aren't aware, one of the big battles this week is Elon wants people to pay for the blue check mark. He wants basically to monetize the blue check mark, right? And so you have this wonderful tweet here where this meme guy, I can't remember what his name is, but he's all over the place all the time. This meme character. You got an $8 Starbucks drink, which, by the way, Starbucks is so expensive. I can't even
Oh my God, bro. I went to Starbucks and got 4 drinks. I have 2 kids and a wife, and we got 4 drinks, and it was $29.
That's pretty expensive.
Bro, how is it? I'm looking at the receipt. I'm like, I don't even know how this works out. Like,
Well, remember we went through. So Brian and I went through a Starbucks drive-through yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and this very nice lady let us in. There was a line, and she didn't have to let us in.
Yeah, she didn't. Yeah.
And so in the past, I try to let people in, and they've always maybe bought my drink for me or whatever. They'll get to the line and they'll pay for the person behind them because I did something nice for them.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to the front, and I'm like, okay, let's pay for this lady's drink. That's the least we can do for her being cool and letting us in. I get there, I'm like, hey, what did the lady order behind us so we can pay for her drink? And he's like, she got this drink and that drink and this drink and that drink and this food and that food and this food and that food and this drink. And I'm like, never mind. Tell her thank you so much for letting us in. Because it was like a $70 bill.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we can't pay $70 for letting us in line.
It was so funny that it was right before that I told Shane this story because I had a very similar experience where I got up to the checkout and the guy's like, hey, the person in front of you paid for your drink. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Thanks. And the guy was like, do you want to pay for the people behind you? And I remember looking at the rearview mirror and seeing like a SUV full of teenage girls taking selfies. And I'm like, absolutely not. Never happening. Sorry. What I got was, and I remember I got like literally a tall drink with a shot of espresso and ice. And I'm like, my drink was $3. That's going to be $127.
Right.
I'm good, bro.
So Elon here's got this, the $8 Starbucks drink and then $8 for the blue check mark. And it's got in 30 minutes, $8, in 30 days, $8. And it's funny that he kind of does this because I get what he's saying, but also we don't know what the benefits of the blue check mark are going to be. So it's like I know, like right now, like I can't imagine paying $8 a month for the blue check mark because like, what do I get for $8?
No. So listen, if it comes with an edit option and no advertising and like tools to look at trending things, if it comes with stuff we don't have now,
that's
sure.
what I'm saying. So, so I believe there's a tweet in here. I don't know if he basically says, well, you don't have to pay for it, but you just won't get any of the benefits.
Right.
And like, there should be no argument now. Like if you don't want to if you don't want to have a blue check mark, no big deal. You just don't have one.
Right. And you know what the crazy thing is, and this was nuts. People are losing their mind over this. If you don't have a blue check mark right now, what are you worried about?
Right. And
if you have a blue check mark, maybe it's a status thing for you.
I think so. Like now that you have a blue check mark, like you're special. Right. Looking at you, Matthew Kadish. We do not have a blue check mark, and so therefore we are not special.
Not that we haven't tried to get it. We've emailed, we've attempted to. We just don't have the clout.
They just don't like YouTubers. It's all good.
And they also don't like YouTube duos. Like if individual people, it's easier for them to get verified.
I see.
Because I actually reached out because there was an actual account posing as us trying to scam people. So I'm like, yo, what do I do about this? And
be verified.
And Twitter was like, well, you're not verified yet. So they removed them, but they didn't verify us.
Well, so maybe we dodged a bullet by not being verified because now we don't have to pay any money. I like that.
Well, yeah. Well, so here's the deal. It's gonna come with other stuff, so I don't see the problem. I do love this though. Look at me. We are the celebrities now.
I can pay $8 and be a celebrity. Right. That's what it is. $8 a month. I'm a celebrity.
What's funny is like, I mean, if this actually becomes a thing and it has all the tools and stuff that allow creators to actually have longer videos and not see ads, like I don't see, and have an edit button, like, dude, the edit button's worth at least $4 a month for me. So,
well, just so you guys know, like Twitter currently doesn't make any money.
Right.
It's currently like not a net positive business. And so he just paid like $44 million or whatever it is, or 44 billion or whatever the heck he paid. And so, yeah, he's going to need to make some money to keep this thing going.
I love how Archmage's phrase said, if you have a blue check mark currently, you can filter your settings and only interact with other blue check marks. Oh, they're like, we don't want all the knaves getting in here.
Right. Nice.
Stay out, you peasants.
All right, let's move on to the next one.
I can just see Robert Picardo. I'm sorry. I just had this moment where like Robert Picardo and Patrick Stewart in a room with their blue check marks, and there's like a legion of other blue check marks trying to get in the room, and they're freaking out.
That would make a great movie. That'd make a great like art house film.
So good. We're like the
everybody's
zombie.
carrying a blue check mark, and they're trying, and it's like in the real world.
We're like the unwashed zombies that are about to get blue check marks.
Right. So this one is an interesting tweet because I remember this, but I didn't participate.
I did,
and Brian probably can explain this better. It's bring back Vine, yes or no, and almost 70% of the people polled, which is 4 million, almost 5 million, wanted to bring it back. What is Vine, Brian?
Vine is the first TikTok. Vine was TikTok before TikTok.
But okay, so same idea.
It's pretty almost identical. It's literally a bunch of short vertical videos, and it was a great platform. I used it. We had Popcast stuff on Vine, and then it crashed and burned.
So and then TikTok came and basically took over that space.
Yes, TikTok bought Musical.ly, then we changed the app to Musical.ly was like sort of like a Vine. It was like a lip sync version of Vine. They bought it and they converted it basically to the same thing.
So what Elon Musk is saying here is, should I basically kick TikTok off of the planet?
I mean, Twitter owns Vine.
I know, but what I'm saying is should I basically? He wants to. That's competing with TikTok.
Oh yeah, and this is. Can I tell you how genius this is, guys? TikTok might not even be here in 3 months.
Say again.
TikTok might not be accessible in the United States in 3 months.
Oh, that probably should have been. No, that's not a story, but there is somebody complaining about maybe kicking. It's, by the way, it's not going to get kicked off because
it's a nonpartisan. It's nonpartisan though. Politicians are already involved.
I know, but as soon as somebody gets paid, it'll get pushed aside. All the people doing nonpartisan stuff are like really low-level politicians who have no skin in the game.
Not this one, bro. I think this is going up the food chain a little bit here. And everyone's agreeing regardless of it's very rare that both sides of the aisle agree on the same thing. And both sides of the aisle agree that TikTok is basically a Chinese spy app.
It is.
It's what it is.
Yeah, no, it really is. I mean, I'm just saying, like, you're going to have like a lot of angry people, like everybody under the age of 25, and I believe a lot of moms at home, because I see this happening quite. I like TikTok. I don't even look at it at all, hardly ever, like unless Brian sends me like a link to one of our things. But literally everybody in my family is on TikTok all day long.
Okay, let me show you TikTok here. Okay.
And I often will pick up their phone and say, "Hello, China. There's nothing here for you to steal."
I'm on TikTok all the time, right? Like this. Yeah,
now I know I don't get anything done.
Here's the problem. Here's the issue. Okay. I actually don't think, or I should say, I don't care that China knows what I like and dislike.
Right. That was kind of, yeah. Although there may be some devious plan that you don't realize where you're like one small piece of the info in the giant puzzle.
I mean, for sure. Like, yeah, they know my name. They know my likes and dislikes. They can definitely control via the algorithm which videos I'm being served. So like they can modify my opinions, right? I know all that. I'm also not stupid. So like I can, when I get to like the crazy stuff where the guy's like, listen, the lizard people are controlling America. I'm like, yeah, okay, this guy's nuts. I know when I'm being manipulated. I like TikTok because it's a fun way to pass the time when I'm on the John, bro. Period. The end. That's, and here's the deal. It's smart though. If they actually get rid of this TikTok or they limit its powers, so where it's limited, bringing back Vine, which is a known quantity already that Twitter owns, Vine can blow up. I'm not even sure why
I wouldn't have even asked the question. If I was Elon, I would have been like, just reactivate it, do whatever it takes. I mean, because honestly, TikTok seems to have just dominated. In my family, at least, it just dominates. Like everybody wants to be on TikTok all the time.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then it's like a no-brainer if you want to get access to people's eyeballs. So
yeah, Vine would destroy TikTok. if Vine came back hard and connected to a Twitter, it would destroy TikTok.
But TikTok would have to be eliminated. It would have to be eliminated in some way.
No, I'm not saying right away, but eventually Vine would overtake, because there are so many creators that, like, a lot of people on TikTok and YouTube started on Vine. So, anyways,
yeah.
All right, next tweet.
So this is kind of another one, and this is, this kind of play. We've already talked about this, really. 8 month for Twitter verification, so much for free speech. So a lot of people are saying, like, this is going to end free speech somehow. And I don't know how the two are associated with, not having a check mark or having a check mark and being associated with free speech. But,
well, yeah, that's what. So in their mind, they're saying that, like, for $8 a month, everyone can get verified, so they can't. I think it goes back to the whole, like, Robert Picardo and Patrick Stewart in a room with a bunch of zombies trying to get in. Right.
Which is why he says you can still use Twitter for free, just without the benefits.
Right. He's like,
yeah. And these people still get, they get angrier, I guess.
Everyone uses Twitter. Elon Musk, new Twitter.
Everyone who used Twitter.
Yeah, listen, guys, when if Twitter does the $8 a month thing, you don't have to sign up. Nothing is going to change for you. You're still going to get ads. You're not going to be verified. Like, if you don't pay, it's the same experience. I don't know. Understand.
Yeah, it'll be the same experience as it is right now, I believe.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree. Next one, Elon Musk saying, better being attacked by both the right and the left at the same time, because I can't say that word because I have a speech impediment, is a good sign.
Yeah, and I think that's...
Can you read that properly, because I can't say that word?
Yeah, simultaneously.
Thank you.
So I think that you're right. So the reason why I included this tweet is because there's a lot of people hating on Elon right now, and whether you like him or not, whether you like his jokes or don't, or whether you like his actions or not, at least like the fact that he's saying, at least from our point of view, that being attacked by both the left and the right simultaneously is good. That means he's not on either side, at least in his mind.
Right.
Right. And so it may seem like he's leaning one way or the other. He just wants things to be fair. And I think this tweet basically says that. So if you take him for his word, which that's the one thing I can tell you about being autistic is he's not a good liar.
He's not.
Not at all. And that's definitely not. And as you can tell, it's why a lot of people don't like him, is because he kind of just tells his truth all the time.
Yeah, we have a super chat from PJ. I'm sorry I missed this before, my friend. He said, don't ever change, guys, even when you hit 1 million subs. And we will not, my friend.
We will always be the same. And let's hope that someday we actually hit 1 million subs.
Which is why we will never hit 1 million subs.
Probably this content is why we'll never hit 1 million subs. Moving on.
Moving on from that. Elon Musk says Twitter will not allow anyone who was deplatformed for violating Twitter rules back on platform until we have a clear process for doing so, which will take at least a few more weeks. People lost their minds over this too.
So this should allay all the fears of everybody who's freaking out. And a lot of people are just like freaking out. I'm leaving Twitter. I'm never going to be on Twitter. He basically just said, look, we're not changing anything until we figure out what's going on here. And that was a big thing for people who thought that they were immediately going to be able to just kind of say whatever they wanted to on Twitter. They found out that nope, that's not the case.
A bunch of people, right when Elon bought it, were like testing the website because he fired a bunch of engineers. So in their minds, like, oh, there's no one's watching, and they started posting the most egregious, offensive crap. And they're like, see, we're getting away with it. There's no one at Trust and Safety to stop us.
And they're like, oh, we're
account
gone.
Suspended.
I know, right? So there's going to be a process. And I think if we go to the next tweet, yeah. Oh, well, actually, yeah, there's a couple more, but we'll get to that. There was a place where we talk about that.
There will be a secondary tag below the name for someone who is a public figure, which is already the case for politicians.
I thought this was perfect.
Yeah.
Or I thought this was very interesting because not only if you pay your $8 a month will you get a blue check mark, but if you're a public figure, now he says it's already the case for politicians, which means there are other public figures who would get the secondary thing. So all of you famous people out there, all of you truly famous people out there, what that means is you can still be special, because the blue check mark will no longer be the special thing, but the tag underneath the blue check mark is now what will make you an identified special public person. So there still will be famous people or whatever that, or professional people that get the blue check mark.
So I think that what this means, like ultimately, is the blue check, the verification for $8 or whatever, the public verification. It's not going to be like, oh, I spent $8 a month, I instantly get a blue check. You're still going to have to go through a verification process. You're probably going to have to have a phone number or an ID or something, whatever, right?
Right.
I know for a fact that the way the verification process works now, because we started it, even though no one ever finished it, thanks guys, is you have to upload 2 forms of ID and a phone number that can get text messages, right?
Yeah.
And we did that. Never happened, but we did that. So more than likely, even though you're paying $8 a month, that would just pay for someone to actually verify these accounts. And the public figure part of it will be so that someone can't pay $8 a month and fake information to get a blue check mark to then impersonate a public person.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm assuming.
That's a good point. Well, or I think what it is it's what's everybody going to freak out about? Oh my God, I'm no longer special. I mean, everybody's saying like, oh my God, I'm going to have to pay for it. Right. But what they're really saying is, oh my God, I'm not going to be special.
Right.
Because that's what the blue check mark really means right now.
Let's be real,
You're
guys.
Special.
Robert Picardo doesn't have a problem paying $8 a month. Okay.
Right.
These actors
using Robert Picardo
because he was there. My bad. But these very rich, famous celebrities, they're not worried about they might say, oh, I have to pay for it. They're not worried about the $8 a month. They're not,
right. And if we go to the next one, we can showcase this really well.
Okay, cool.
So
Stephen King. Oh, this guy always brings the heat.
Wait, I got to tell you, I love all of Stephen King's work. Like I love it. Like I love Star Trek.
But the person
really,
is.
But here's the thing: let's just read it. Stephen King, $20 a month to keep. And this was back when they weren't sure what the price was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
$20 a month to keep my blue check. F that. They should pay me. If that gets instituted, I'm gone like Enron. Okay, so Steve, here's the first thing, bud.
First off, you're a boomer, but go ahead.
Listen, yeah, you're a boomer, and but here's the thing, Steve. You just gave away something really important, and I love him, but as he gets older, he gets this entitlement problem happening. They should pay me for being on Twitter because I am so special. The content that I create is so good that you should pay me to even give you my thoughts, you lowly piece of shit mother effers. Right?
You unwashed knave.
Right. So it's like, that's the thing that's disgusting about this. It's like entitled people are disgusting. And I'm sorry, I love Stephen King's work, but he is an entitled individual. This is just gross. If you don't want to pay for the blue check mark, don't. If you want to get off Twitter, go.
Yeah.
Does he say some insightful things about life and the process of what happens in our world? Sometimes he does. But honestly, you shouldn't get paid to tweet.
Sometimes he also says stupid moronic things too. Let's be real. Stephen King on Twitter.
Well, whatever. I mean, he says he's hardcore liberal.
I mean,
but like Kennedy,
but like mentally challenged hardcore liberal. Not like, oh, I'm liberal politically, but like he literally comments on things. I'm not gonna get into this about Stephen King, but here was Elon Musk's his was a reply. We need to pay the bills somehow. Twitter cannot entirely rely on advertisers. How about $8?
So we got to give Stephen credit because I think, this is the great thing about Elon. Like whatever pops out of his mouth instantly becomes reality. Like if he says, let's go to Mars, I'm going to Mars now. So Stephen King basically got Elon to make the price $8. I think that's what happened right here because he said 20. So Elon's like, how about 8? And now it's like, oh, it's 8 because I said it was 8. And that's kind of how it works. So
another great strategy for defeating the bots and trolls, and I'm just spitballing here. It might be a new head of Twitter, so stop retweeting. Oh God, Pelosi. All right. So that's Stephen King. Twitter is horrible. It's such a horrible place.
Well, it's you know what it is? It's like, you know what Twitter is? It's like everybody's sitting around and what they're thinking. Like sometimes what human beings are thinking in their head should never actually come out into the planet. And the cool thing about being a writer, even Stephen King's the one who coined this thing. He said writing is like telepathy. I think the words, I write them down, type them down or whatever. You read them. We never spoke to each other, but you got my thoughts without us ever having to talk.
Now pay me my $8 a month.
That's what Twitter, right? That's what Twitter is. And you don't want everybody's deepest, darkest thoughts when there is no accountability for them whatsoever.
Oh yeah.
So maybe kudos to some of these people who like, we know who you are and you're still saying this shit.
Shane, let me beam my thoughts in your head right now. I want your real reaction. Ready?
Okay. Oh, that's gross. Don't stop. Oh, I don't think you can do that to a teddy bear.
That's so funny because I was thinking about a stuffed Jason Momoa.
What? There you go. Okay.
One of those body pillows.
Yeah. I was close then. I was close.
I mean, yeah. You work way close. Next one, he says, Wachtel and Twitter board deliberately hid this evidence from the court. Stay tuned, more to come.
Yeah, so that was an interesting thing. I'll just explain it really quick because basically in 2020, the government put out this thing to social media where they're like, look, we want certain accounts brought down. And so they gave a list out to some of these social media platforms to bring down certain people. And guess what? They were right-wing people on the other side of the aisle. And the Twitter board hid the evidence, the fact that this came out. And that will eventually come to light. It's not going to be pretty. And it's a reason why he fired so many people.
Yeah. Listen, I know that they hid the evidence, but here's the deal. It was really obvious to anyone that paid attention for longer than 5 minutes when 98.3% of all suspended and banned accounts were on one side of the aisle. You can hide the evidence, but when only 1.7% of your banned accounts are ones you agree with, and the other 98.4% are right-wing, I don't know what evidence why do you even need evidence at that point? Someone just bring that point up in court and call it a day.
Because, well, unfortunately, evidence is not the same as it used to be. Now it's whether or not somebody wants to believe the evidence that you provide. Because there's been a lot of evidence provided about things that nothing ever gets done about. So
98.4%.
Yeah, they'll have to provide evidence that it's that case. That's the case.
98.4% of all the accounts were one side of the political divide. Like, that is atrocious. I don't know. I don't care what side you fall on. That's
which leads us to our next 2 tweets, which I think are important.
Okay, my bad. Go ahead.
This is just another where like Elon's head is here. We've all made some questionable tweets, me more than most, but I want to be clear that I support Yoel. My sense is that he has high integrity and we are all entitled to our political beliefs. Now, I don't know whether or not you want to support this guy or not, because he said some pretty awful things about Trump supporters, which you shouldn't talk about people like that. Like if you have an opinion about a political figure, then that's fine, no matter what your opinion is. But, debasing an entire group of people for their belief is not cool. And he did that. But look at Elon. He's like, hey, look, I've made mistakes on my tweets. This guy's made mistakes. We don't have to kill each other. No, I agree with that. I like that. And he says we're all entitled to our political beliefs. And I believe that's absolutely true. We should all be able to have our own belief. And if you don't like it, then, you don't have to listen, or I don't have to share it with you, which I prefer just not to share it with you.
Yeah. So there is a little bit of a problem here, though. The person he's referring to actually censored, and deleted people from Twitter because of he didn't agree with their tweets. It wasn't just that he
Right.
had bad tweets. So here's the deal. You can, if we're in the same room together and you're saying things that offend me, I'll let you know that it offends me, but I'm not gonna forcefully close your mouth. But he was actively saying things that offended people and then closing the mouth of the person that was trying to reply to his insanity.
Yeah. Well, but here's the thing: is like everybody deserves a second shot. Even some, especially when it comes to speech or the things that we say instead of the things we do. So if Elon is in the room with the guy and he's like, I think he's got high integrity, he's making a judgment call. And I think that's willing to give somebody a second chance, especially somebody who wants both sides of the aisle to be together. So no matter how many bad things anybody has said on Twitter, whether you're on the left or the right, if you want to come back and not be a cretin and kind of be responsible for your own communication, then I support that.
Cool.
Yeah,
I agree with that. Why not?
And the last link didn't come up well for me, but it was, I thought I copied it properly. Oh, it's because of the V. Can you get rid of the V there?
I thought this was the last link. Is it not?
There's one more, and this is the one that I think everybody needs to see.
Wow.
I accidentally when I hit the copy paste. There's a V in there.
Boomer alert!
What?
I'm just kidding.
Why is that a boomer thing? It's Control V.
I know. What
Okay,
Elon says here? You want me to read it? Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Twitter will be forming a content moderation council with widely diverse viewpoints. No major content decisions or account reinstatements will happen before that council convenes.
Honestly, I think that was like the tweet that should have calmed everybody down. Like, no matter what he said, he's like, nobody's getting brought back here until we have, a council with widely diverse viewpoints. So people on all sides of the spectrum get a chance to have input, and then we decide what the content, will be allowed or not allowed. And I mean, is there a more fair way to do it that you can think of?
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm asking you.
I'm trying to think. Maybe a computer with zero emotion or political biases.
I don't think that would work. Well, I mean, maybe a computer, but computers aren't going to be able to there's no nuance with a computer, and I think Twitter as a company needs to come up with terms that are just unacceptable. Like obviously there are things that people shouldn't type out in public to people, that are obviously hateful or disgusting. Right.
Yeah, it's weird because Twitter has like hardcore pornography. Like there's hardcore pornography and like really like crazy stuff.
Yeah, there should be
Don't ask me how I know. Don't ask me how I know. I'm just saying.
There should be a list of things that there should be a list of things that there should not be.
There's some weird stuff, dude.
Well, let's just say,
People
there should not be
diapers and there's some weird stuff, dude.
Right, but there shouldn't be racial epithets. There shouldn't be, I know that people are like, oh, free speech is hate speech or all this different stuff. I mean, no, there are some things that you just should not say as a human being to other people.
So
and if Twitter as a company wants to make a list of words you cannot use on Twitter, then I'm okay with that because that's Twitter's business.
Yeah.
As long as they do it across the board.
And as long as their terms of service are evenly enforced.
Right. Because right now,
I'm going to say it louder. Evenly enforced. Don't say that's even now when 98% of your enforcement is on one side.
Right. And so like when the Shah of Iran says, kill all Jewish people, right?
He should be
which
removed.
I believe he did in Twitter.
He literally said that, yeah.
Like you can't do that. Like
that
guy
follows him.
Yeah. That's funny. But that guy should not be able to say that. I don't care if he's the leader of a nation.
Kanye's like,
you know what I mean?
Heart.
Right. I mean, it should not be acceptable by humanity, right? There's no, listen, this is 2022. We are elevated human beings. We're modern humans, people. Like, we understand what destroys people and what doesn't.
And we've been banned.
I know that's very possible that it could happen, but I think once they look back on it, they'll realize it wasn't me saying it, it was the Shah of Iran saying it.
We're not gonna make it to that point.
Sorry, YouTube.
Yeah, it was funny. Elon Musk. People were complaining like, "Why did you already restore Kanye West's account then?" You guys, his account was restored before Elon Musk actually walked into the building. So that just shows that they don't know what they're doing. Like, they have bad political ideas. They don't enforce the rules evenly, and even when one part of their group decided to ban Kanye, and another part of the group was like, "Yeah, Jews do suck. Reinstate him." And Elon Musk is walking into the building with a sink. That's exactly what happened. He has nothing to do with Kanye's account.
Well, and it's confusing because now they're dealing with a person of color doing something essentially against people. Well, I guess it would be
right. So it's a marginal. It's so in their view, it's a marginalized individual from a marginalized group of people who is hating on another marginalized
group of people,
and
everything exploded. It was like, this isn't supposed to happen.
I don't know what to do.
Right. Actually, I think Chappie says it best here. And this goes for a lot of people on Twitter. It's like one side got to spew out their hatred, but the other side was forced to be censored. And that's basically what I think Elon's trying to fix.
Yeah. Well, good luck.
And that is your weekly battle for Twitter, week 2.
I do not know if this will be a weekly segment because that was 40 minutes long.
Well, okay, so I made a mistake of probably putting too many tweets. And I think the battle for Twitter will weaken as we go. Like, this was like the hardcore time. Okay. Next week, less people are going to be, they're going to move on to something else. Like, somebody's going to be killing fish out in the Atlantic or something, and it'll just move on.
All right.
And, so maybe there'll be 2 or 3 tweets next week and we'll see what happens.
All right. Matt says, yeah, the UL guy's got to go. All right. Yeah, I'm cool with that. That guy is,
whatever happens, as long as everybody is cool to each other, that'd be better.
It's not that he just said bad things. It was that he silenced people that tried to criticize his bad ideas.
Well, but you guys got to remember, like, Elon fired a bunch of people, right?
Right.
He didn't fire that guy. There's got to be a reason.
Yeah.
Like, because the way he works is like, he doesn't, and let me tell you, he don't have any darlings. Like, he'll fire the guy next to him, even though he's like, he's on the spectrum.
Right.
So he's like, it's not about like loyalty or right or wrong. It's like, there's no opinion. A
strategy to it too. Maybe he needs this guy for something we don't know.
Do something. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, whatever.
Maybe he's setting him up.
Ooh, the Twitter trek, the personal logs Twitter trek is we're not doing it this week because just so you guys, if you guys are getting here late, because all the Twitter trek people, all they had this week was nothing but the worst possible, really unfun political takes, and I'm not even sure if we can possibly step around those eggshells. So I'm not going to try.
But we do have one Trek person who came through for us, and we'll cover that during the weekly Terry.
Okay.
As appropriate.
All right, that's fair.
Yeah.
But we do plan to do. Hopefully next week is a little easier on that we can actually do the Twitter trek. Some of the stuff they said this week was just impossible. Like, there's no way we can cover it.
No, it's not fun. We got to do fun stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I would argue that we just did, our last segment was not fun, but
I thought it was hilarious. It was fun. What are you talking about?
I'm so sick right now. Don't even listen to me.
All right.
What's next? Warp drive gone forever? ?
Yeah.
And wait. I'm sorry. I need to get the right one. The link you gave me has a V at the end of it.
I don't know what's happening. Like when I hit Control V, I must not. I mean, it is pasting it. So, I must be hitting the V too hard.
What you want to do is you want to go Control Shift V, so that it removes all formatting.
Oh, all right.
Pro tip for everyone out there: and if you are copying and pasting the internet, so go Control Shift V, and it will only copy the raw text and no formatting.
The more you know.
Dun 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 dun.
Dun, 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 dun.
All right. We are now talking about Star Trek Discovery. After 57 years, Starfleet can finally quit warp travel in Discovery Season 5.
Yeah.
Why are we talking about this, man?
Well, so it's interesting actually, because things change. So this is an article by Screen Rant, and normally we don't cover things that aren't like really newsy. So, but this is like a thought process here by John or Quila. Wow, it's a weird word.
Aquila.
It's a weird one. But basically, and this is a really great observation, because if you're following Discovery, and I know you're probably not, but we are, because we're still sharing it with
if you're following Discovery, which you're probably not.
Oh, I do have some interesting news. Can't tell you how I know this, but or how we know this, but Discovery Season 5 is going to be a lot less whiny.
Yeah.
So even the people involved with Discovery Season 5 are kind of aware that they went a little too whiny during Season 4, a little too like off the rails with their mental distress.
A kind of aware is actually like totally generous. They literally said.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's like, yeah, that's so apparently Season 5 is going to take a completely different mental attitude. Now, not that means you're going to come back and watch Discovery, and we're not saying that you should, but there is something important about Discovery that is going to affect all of us at some point if you're a Star Trek fan, and that is that dang spore drive.
The spore mushroom drive. The
spore drive that was created, way back in the 22nd century, I think 23rd century, and now is 900 years into the future, is apparently replicatable.
Yeah, but there's so many problems with this, because didn't they, at some point during the Discovery seasons, didn't they say that like using the mushroom drive hurt the mushroom drive?
Yes.
Or the network?
Apparently that's not the case anymore.
The mycelial. What's it called?
It only hurt the mycelial network in the TOS time frame,
but not
in the future apparently. So, but here's the thing:
they bastardize Star Trek canon. No, I'm sorry. They bastardize Star Trek canon to the point where they lose the majority of their audience, and then 4 seasons later, completely ignore their own internalized, bastardized canon.
It's the future, Brian. Things change.
Mind blown, man.
Well, when you think about it, remember there was no warp drive travel. So if you guys aren't familiar, the burn happened in the future, and this is all canon. So there's really no way around it. It is what it is. The burn occurs in the future where there is no warp travel.
Right.
And Discovery shows up, and essentially they fix the problem. There is warp drive travel now, but they also can replicate the spore drive, and apparently because not just
wait. There was warp. No. So you can still travel in warp, but I guess it was that they blew up all the dilithium.
No, well, the burn made it so warp power was gone, right?
No, they made it so that it was like really hard because there wasn't any dilithium left.
Oh, okay.
Because it blew up all the dilithium, and coincidentally, the person that was responsible for all the burn also lived on a planet full of dilithium. So like they solved the burn and found the dilithium.
Sounds like a plot device, Brian.
Sounds like Shane. It's literally 2 plot devices in one. It was like, let's double down on the plot device.
Well, that's what we generally get. So we don't really want to talk about Discovery. What we want to talk about is the fact that the spore drive, the future of Star Trek done with warp drive. it could all ships be fitted with spore drives, and that means no more warp travel. It would mean instantaneous arrival anywhere that they want to be in the mycelial network. There's two reasons why this is interesting. A, I can see it 100% happening because when you're making a TV show, it would be much faster paced TV show if you could just arrive everywhere you want to be all the time. Rings of Power did it. It's called fast travel, right?
Right.
But
it's a video game term. We call it fast travel.
But Discovery did it when they said, "Oh, spore drive." And so when we found out that Michael Burnham's boyfriend can log into the spore drive as well, Book, yeah. Now that Book can do it, pretty much, I guess almost anybody can. So
but it was specific to Book. Okay, so Book was actually special because his people had the ability to talk to animals. Right. Now, here's how they solved. When they gave you when they showed you that Book had the ability to navigate not just Stamets, they also solved that problem by the 10C ripping through his planet and destroying all the other people that could have that ability.
So maybe there will be no more spore drives because all of his people are dead and it's just him. but it's interesting. The thought process is interesting. And this is why I like the article, because it would change Star Trek in a lot of ways. It would make things a little faster. And I really don't have a problem with a in the future developing a device that gets you there quicker than warp speed. Like, that's okay. I mean, the fact that it was created back in TOS timeframe is lame and dumb and should have never happened. But like, if they had gone to the future and there was like a spore drive technology already existed in the future, we really wouldn't have had a problem with that, right?
No, I will support my previous statements that if Discovery season 1, I'm not even going to try to justify the other 4 seasons, but if Discovery season 1 for 3 seasons. If Discovery Season 1 started in the future, then I think a lot of people wouldn't be as annoyed with Star Trek Discovery, and it probably would have changed just changing where it started would have changed the face of Star Trek. We might not even have a Strange New Worlds or Picard. Well, we definitely wouldn't have Strange New Worlds. It would be completely different, because if it had started in the future, then a lot of these canon issues and like the bastardization and foundation ripping of Spock and TOS era wouldn't have happened. And we could have expected a spore drive. I could have accepted a spore drive in the future after all the warp stuff that we're aware of. Sure. Why not? I think it's I still think it's stupid, but
I don't think it's stupid for the future. Like, we have wormholes. We have lots of different ways to travel quickly from place to place.
Right, but there's existing technology, though. There's transwarp travel. There's other technologies that are better than warp that we have heard of, or that they've been working on for 30 years. I'm not sure why they would have to jump to a mushroom drive. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I guess you're right. I mean, that's true. There's still an instance of travel that's involved. So, but I would have accepted 900 years later that there was a spore drive. No problem.
Sure.
And because we know about transwarp drives, we know about wormholes, this would have been a new thing in Star Trek, and it would have been fine. It also would have changed something, because a lot of the stories in Star Trek take place while traveling from here to there. So a lot of the interesting tropes about Star Trek are things that happen on the ship while they're traveling. Mm-hmm. And so if you take that away with a spore drive, all those stories will actually disappear. Because there will be no, oh shoot, we broke down on the way to Metalis 4.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point. A lot of like you know what? I'm going to disagree, Shane.
Okay.
I agree with what you just said, but I think that we are both being proven wrong in real time right now, because Discovery still has plenty of its emotional exposition, even though they can be anywhere at once.
I'm just saying. I said the stories were good. I didn't say the Discovery stories were good. And here's the thing about the Discovery stories: a lot of it, almost all of it, involved some civilization they were at, or somebody they were interacting with, a different culture. There was very little inside the ship stuff that was interesting unless they were all visiting the psychiatrist.
Right.
So like that was like the only thing actually happening on the ship, and everything else was happening because they were going from place. So you would lose the interesting, like getting stuck in a nebula, or, you know, oh my gosh, I got too close to this black hole, or, you know, the people from this hidden planet, you know, put us all to sleep. And because we figured it out, now we're all going to die. One of those episodes.
Or the warp drive is killing the space fairies.
Right. Yeah. Or it's causing holes in the space. Yeah. In space time or whatever, you know, so that would change it. So they could, if they really wanted to, change how Discovery is made by giving everyone those drives, and it would actually remove warp drive. Would you miss warp drive in the future, or warps, you know, going warp speed in the future? And do you think that would be good or bad for Star Trek?
I think it'd be horrible. And
Okay.
I gotta tell you, it's not just the travel, what you're talking about, the stories that can be told in traveling. But what about when you're being chased? What
Well,
about
you would no longer be chased.
looking for this person? Like, there's a lot of a big parts of stories. Like, I almost blew something right now, but there are big parts of stories where, you know, finding each other or traveling or chasing someone or whatever, or explore. What do you have to explore? Like when you just go everywhere. Like,
Right.
we're gonna go explore the nebula. We're done.
You know, you get there and then like boom, I guess you deal with the nebula. There's just no longer the time it takes to get there.
I found it hilarious. I remember I was watching the last season of Discovery, and they were like, they replicated the spore drive. And when I saw that Book had it, I'm like, oh, we're in trouble. They can replicate the spore drive, and like Book's people can navigate the network seemingly better than Stamets can. Right? I'm like, oh, we're screwed.
Well, you know, they're going to find
And
a
then
whole civilization of Book's people on another planet somewhere that
And
can
then
do
they
this.
destroyed his planet. I was like, oh, okay, they solved that problem.
Yeah, and we're also going to learn that the Kelpians can do it,
Right.
because of
right.
some weird reason.
It's gonna be something. You're right. Yeah. So the problem with this is like it just doesn't, you know, it removes a lot of the storytelling, or it makes it real cheesy, or it makes everything a plot device. Someone's Archmage Frey mentioned the Iconian gateways in the chat, and the Iconian gateways.
All you got to do, guys, is say Iconian gateways, and Brian will immediately stop and talk about Iconian gateways.
Stop.
That's how much he loves
Stop.
Iconian gateways.
Stop. No, it's not. That's not true. I do love the Iconians.
You
I
do
love the
them.
Iconians because they're a fascinating species, but I would argue that I understand why they haven't really gone back to the Iconians, because it's too OP. It makes for bad storytelling.
Oh, well, Discovery season 5 will definitely probably revisit them,
I
because we
know.
know that they're going to find some old power. Yeah, that's like our theory is that they're going
Yeah.
to totally ruin the Iconian story next.
Right. Yeah. No, we actively think that Discovery season 5, based on what they've said and what we've read, is going to ruin the Iconians. Wait, hey, we already ruined the Watchers. Let's find the next OP ancient civilization that we know nothing about, but everyone's been asking about for questions about for 30 plus years. Let's get that one and destroy that one too.
How about the Gate of Time? We've ruined that too.
We ruined that. We ruined the Gate. I can't believe. And they made it like a person, bro. Like a city. Like, oh, it's so bad.
Well, now it's like alternate realities and stuff, and it's like different dimensions.
Oh,
and
it's
like,
so bad. I remember reading all kinds of books about that too, and like how like they were studying it, and I was really into it too. And then they just ruined it. They ruined the gateway. They're gonna ruin the Iconians. In fact, there was a moment in season 4 when they found like this species of like that we've never seen before. They were like traveling in space. And I was sitting there like, oh my God, please don't be the Iconians. Please don't do it. I literally paused it and I was like, listen, to whoever up there that will hear me, don't let it be the Iconians. And then I played it and it was like an unknown species. I'm like, okay, all right.
yeah. And then season 5's trailer is like, they find an ancient power.
It's like a gateway. No.
They were the and then it cuts out.
Oh my God, bro.
No, I'm just kidding. That didn't actually happen. But you know, they do find an ancient power, and it would be interesting. Hopefully they'll Why do they got to find anything ancient? Like, just keep moving forward.
Yeah, I would argue the Gorn were a little bit not ruined, but I would
Oh
say
no, they were ruined.
no, they weren't ruined, totally ruined.
Ruined.
No.
I'm sorry.
No. There was a
Ruined.
misstep. I still think the Gorn can be saved.
I'm sorry. Well, here's the thing. I'm concerned. And Strange New Worlds, for whatever, is way better Trek than Discovery. And I really enjoy Anson Mount. There are issues with that show. But the biggest problem is that the Gorn basically became aliens from like the movie Aliens. And I just, God, I hate that so much.
That whole episode was just horrible. They killed our favorite character for no reason. They took the Gorn and they made them cheesy, sci-fi horror movie characters. But the reason I say they can be saved is because we still have not seen what the next two stages of their life cycle is.
Yeah, when I see an adult Gorn, I guess I'll judge completely.
Right. So that's what we do. All right. Moving on. I don't know. Every one of our segments is taking like an insane amount of time because, like,
is it really?
Apparently, we have a lot to say today, so that's good.
Yeah. Well, yeah. As long as everybody's having a good time.
Yeah. Everyone have a good time. Well, you're about to have a lot more fun, and I'll tell you why. Because this is the weekly.
Oh, weekly Terry. Charge. Terry Matalas, the showrunner for Picard season 3. And what has Terry been up to this week? And I got to tell you guys, the first thing that I'm going to tell you guys is, and we're going to beat the drum on this. We know that Robert Meyer Burnett has already seen Picard season 3. He says it's absolutely going to change your life. We've had the opportunity to get some insight on this as well. And that's all I'm going to say about it right now. And what we're going to tell you is Picard season 3 is going to blow your damn mind. So
it's so going to blow your mind.
Make sure you are getting hyped for Picard season 3. And listen, we just told you, we just spent 30 minutes laughing at Discovery. We just spent some time saying Star Trek Strange New Worlds has problems. We didn't like Picard seasons 1 or 2. So we would not go out on a limb to tell you that Picard season 3 is going to change your damn life unless we knew it was going to change your damn life.
Unless we knew it. And that's the end of that.
That's all we're going to say about that for now.
Unless we knew it, we wouldn't be saying that. We would not put our reputation on the line unless we knew it.
100%. So, and let me tell you, if we're wrong and you don't love, and some of you won't, I think some of you, if you're a fan of Berman era Star Trek, you will love this show. If you're not a fan of Berman era Star Trek, then you might not.
Yeah, listen. Yeah, you're not gonna. I don't think you're gonna like it if you would rather watch people cry about their gender pronouns while making out with one of those water bears in the Marciano network. If that's what you like, right. Not gonna work out.
But if you like TNG and you like Voyager and you like Deep Space Nine, if you like those 3 shows and you're a classic Star Trek fan, then you will absolutely love this show.
It's going to blow your mind.
So what did Terry Matalas, the showrunner for Picard season 3, do this week? Well, remember we were talking about how earlier, and we've I'm sorry, you're right. Let's start here. For some reason, I don't have the same tweets that you do, even though I copied them. So let's just go off of what you got here. If you don't know who Terry Matalas is and you want to get a taste of what he can do, you need to go to Hulu and watch 12 Monkeys, the series. It is such a wonderful series. If you love science fiction and you love time travel and you love world apocalypse type things and complicated stories that just pay off every time, you want to watch 12 Monkeys. And I think it'll give you a little insight on what Picard season 3 is going to be like. So if you have time over the next 3 or 4 months, pull up that show on Hulu and just watch it. I think there were 4 seasons. It was originally a sci-fi original.
There's 4 seasons. Yeah,
it's fantastic.
Oh yeah, it's really an outstanding TV show. Shane is just now getting into it, and I think I have forgotten more than he now knows. But I remember watching it when it came out, and then watching the last season again because I missed a lot of it on Hulu, and it's great series. Great series.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I also was
really
telling
good.
Shane like 2 years ago to watch it, and he was like, maybe.
I don't remember that. He tells me to watch everything. So it's like really hard to know
That's
like
fair.
what to watch. I mean, I literally have like an hour or two a night. I don't have a lot of time.
Yeah,
But anyway.
next thing you got to watch, Demon Child.
Stop. Just stop. I can't even keep them all in here. I'm trying to finish this. But seriously, so this is Barbara Sakawa from 12 Monkeys, and she plays a role. And so Terry basically tweeted out this image and said that this is his favorite image of this character. And if you're a fan of 12 Monkeys, then that tells you something about him. And you should go check out that show.
Yeah.
She's the person time traveling everybody around.
Yes.
This next one here is like a little bit of this is like a Picard season 3 thing. You know, the things that Terry loves, he puts in his stuff. You can just kind of tell, you know, and it's mentioned at the New York Comic-Con. This story was brought up because when Riker and Picard, when Jonathan Frakes and Patrick Stewart are talking, there's like, they talk about this moment where they don't agree in Picard season 3, where they have this major disagreement. And Terry likens it to the disagreement between Gene Hackman and Denzel Washington in Crimson Tide, this wonderful movie. Right. So he put a clip out here. One of the greatest scenes in film history. I get tense watching this clip. And I'm willing to tell you that there definitely will be some Crimson Tide feeling things, I think, that happen here. So,
oh yes. Yeah.
So this is a cool tweet. I like how you can just go from tweet each one and like I'm like copying and pasting each one. Okay, so this next tweet here is this is actually for Jerry Ryan, who plays 7 of 9, and Jonathan Frakes, who plays Commander Riker. Terry was retweeting out for ALS, and they're actually trying to support to help fight pancreatic cancer and ALS. And this is like a really cool thing. If you do support causes and different charities, then this would be a great Star Trek charity support. And you can see it on Twitter. Trekmovie.com has it. Also, I think Frakes and Ryan have it on their Twitters as well.
Yes. Yeah. So the whole thing was about raising money for fighting ALS, which is an amazing thing. I got one problem with this though. Trekmovie.com. I don't hire a graphic designer, bro. I don't get it. These are the worst 2 pictures you could have chosen, and you couldn't even like write out you couldn't even block out the text. Like, it drives me nuts seeing bad graphics, bro.
Can I come to their defense for a second?
Go ahead.
Like, it's like I did that.
Yeah.
So like,
it looks like Shane made this.
So somebody at Trek Movie didn't want to wait for the graphic designer to get around to it and just decided to do it themselves. That's what it was.
Yeah. That's exactly what happened, and it drives me nuts. You're now
their graphic designer is yelling at them like you yell at me when I do it. So
I
get
why did you put that out, man? Everyone's retweeting that. My name is on that. Now they think that I did that work. What are you doing?
Yeah. Well, I actually wrote "done by Brian" right below. So
right.
that helps. And then I think we got one more tweet as well.
Hold on, I got a quick thing. Josh Temple said yes, but you can't reward bad behavior, so you should not watch it at all. He's referring to Picard season 3. And let me tell you something.
Oh,
this was not made by the same people that made 1, 2, or Discovery. This is made by a completely different person that loves Star Trek.
Well, okay. So to be fair, though, most people don't know that. So because Terry Matalas is attached as the showrunner on season 2, but the reality is that he didn't work on season 2.
No.
So he worked essentially, him and Akiva Goldsmith decided to, he brought him in and said, look, you're going to do season 3 and I'll do season 2. And then I got to go. That's what Akiva told Terry. And so Terry is responsible for season 3, and you can't hold him accountable for 1 or 2. Now, I know a lot of people think that by supporting Picard in any way or supporting any new Trek is like supporting Alex Kurtzman. And they're like, well, if we don't support it, we don't want Alex Kurtzman to keep getting new Star Trek. Let me tell you something. You want to support Terry Matalas because his vision of Star Trek is the vision that everybody who's saying exactly what was just said That's the vision you want for Star Trek. So if Terry makes good Star Trek, and then Alex sees that Terry's made good Star Trek, Alex is going to let Terry make more good Star Trek, because Alex's goal is not to turn Trek into anything. His goal is to put out Star Trek cost effectively on time so that his bosses don't get mad at him.
Right.
That's his goal.
His goal is
He
to keep his
allows
job.
the showrunners
Right.
to create the shows.
Right.
He doesn't tell them how to do them.
Right.
So we want more showrunners like Terry Matalas to come in to make the shows, because Alex Kurtzman isn't making these shows.
No.
He's not telling them how to make these shows. No. And we can tell you that as a fact-based thing. It's not a guess.
Yeah, it's
this
a
is
fact.
the truth. Okay. And so you got them. When we tell you that you want people like Terry Matalas making, it's like, honestly, it's like me and Brian making Star Trek.
Right. Yeah.
Or it's like,
imagine if you're fans of us, you know us, and we're like, we're gonna make Star Trek. Are you gonna?
You've heard our theories,
right?
Right. You've seen our videos where we theorize and we create stories, and everybody's like, "Wow, I wish they would write that." Well, what we're telling you is that's what Terry's done was Picard season 3.
Right. Yeah.
So support that, because you want more of that. Yeah, I guess is what I'd say.
That's a really good point.
You don't have to take our word for it. Watch the first episode. If you're not hooked by the first episode, then that era of Trek maybe isn't something that you like that much.
Yeah, literally like the first. Yeah. So here's the deal. I like what you said about that though. I want to quickly talk about it. Imagine if it was Shane and I, where like, Kurtzman and the studio are giving us the ability to make a season of Picard or Star Trek in general. You know us, and you've heard our theories, and you know where we stand on things, right? Would you not watch it because it's still attached, because Kurtzman's still our boss?
I mean, yeah, that is kind of the argument. Like they're saying reward, but here's the thing: is that the Trek we would make would be good, or it should be anyways.
It would be
so
good.
Based on what we say. So what we're saying is that's the Trek that's coming with Picard season 3.
Yes.
And so that's why we want everybody to get on board with it, because we want more of that Trek. We want to experience more of that. Yes. And the only way to get it is by the fan base coming in and going, this is amazing. We're all watching it. Because let me tell you which Trek they're going to make more of? The more of whoever's watching it, or whatever people are watching. So if more people are watching Discovery than are watching Picard season 3, they're going to want to make more Discovery. So you gotta and that's the way these businesses work. They want to make money. Right. So let's support #Terry Trek. That's what we call it. We coined the phrase Terry Trek because that's the guy we want making Star Trek.
And this is what Athia said. So you're saying if we get behind Picard season 3, we can send a message to the producers? Yes.
Yes, 100%. And that's the feedback everybody's listening to. And if you watch all of these, like all of the Comic-Cons and all the different things where the actors and the people come out and say, like, they keep saying to the fans, you guys are the ones that can bring us back, because they are actively wanting to listen to what fans are saying. And you do that with your pocketbooks, or you do it with your views.
Views, yeah.
So,
and I gotta tell you, it's not a coincidence that all the people that we know that feel the same exact way as all of us, as you in chat and you watching this probably right now, and us right now, we all feel the same way about these what they've been doing with Star Trek over the last for a while. They all have said the same thing after getting in the know, and they're saying that Picard season 3 is going to blow your mind, and it is. It's gonna. It's absolutely everything you want in Star Trek. So
yeah,
and if we want that kind of Star Trek to continue, we have to support it.
And honestly, this is going to be the beginning of the trail, like getting on board with us, with guys like Robert Meyer Burnett, like us, and now's the time to get on the bandwagon, because by the time we get there in February and everybody's watching the first couple episodes and like people are like crying and stuff and like getting emotional over the way Star Trek is, it'll be too late. So no, it won't be too late. But what I'm saying is like, you're going to finally go, oh my gosh, now I get it. So what we're saying is, if you trust us, then get on board with us now and just kind of get the mentality that you're going to be ready to watch. And as we get closer to the actual season launching, we're going to have more things that we'll be able to talk about, that we're going to be able to kind of continue to convince you as to why you're going to really want to embrace, and just you should look forward to this season. Like, just look forward to the opportunity to get 10 1-hour movies of TNG. So
yeah, that's really well said, Shane. Thank you.
Thank you.
Friend.
And I think there was one more last little tweet there.
I don't know if I want to go out. I think we want to go out with that. That was great.
All right. Well, yeah, it's okay. That's fair. Let's go.
Show the last tweet. We can show the last tweet. It's just not as good as what you just said. That's on.
It's not as.
I think
good,
you're now ruining the segment by continuing it past what you said.
Okay, then that's fine. We'll just keep.
No, we're showing the tweet. That's what you want to do. So
no. I just when I said I agree. Listen, I hate it when people argue with you, and then when you agree with them, they say no. Let's go with what you did. So I'm just like, okay. So this is actually a really cool little tweet, because it was, I believe it was Robert Picardo's birthday on October 27th, and Terry Metalis and a bunch of our old friends from Star Trek, including Quark, Armin Shimmerman, including DS9's Nana Visitor, Jonathan Frakes. They all basically went and had a big old shindig together. And the reason why I thought this was great is Terry's embraced by the big Star Trek community. Like, as far as, if you look at Comic-Con and you look at what did all the actors do? They kept going, this doesn't happen without him. He's the reason why this is happening. And they kept saying it over and over again about Terry, like we're not here without him. So the fact that he's talking with all of these people that we know 100% that these people like Armin Shimmerman and Nana Visitor and some of they want to come back to Star Trek as well. So, the Trek that we love is not dead, folks. And Terry has relationships with all these people. So I think that's important.
Yeah, it is. And old Yorkshire geek, I think this. I don't know if we've seen him before, but if we haven't, welcome. He says, I'm worried that Kurtzman won't be able to resist interfering. I love Strange New Worlds, but that season 1 finale had Kurtzman fingerprints all over it. Yeah, we can't say so much about it here, but in the members section,
we can say this.
Go ahead.
We can say this. We can say something. We can say 100% that Alex Kurtzman is not interfering with any Star Trek that's being made.
Yeah, he's not.
He's not interfering with any Star Trek that's being made.
Yeah, he's not.
The responsibility of each one. Now, granted, he's the big boss, so he's ultimately responsible for the product that comes out. But let me tell you, his fingerprints are not on Star Trek.
Well, it was on season 1 of Discovery when they dropped showrunners, but after that, it wasn't. No,
it wasn't actually.
So it was though, right?
It was not. No, it was. It went from Brian Fuller to Akiva Goldsman, and there were some people in between, but
right. But they were bad robot people. Yeah, so that was probably the most it had anything to do with season 1.
He's worrying about all the other aspects of it. So what I'm telling you is, here's who you blame for every season of Star Trek if you don't like it. You blame the showrunner, because the showrunner is responsible for it. Now, I will say this, the executives at CBS also have some responsibility, because they're the ones who say yes or no about things when they cost certain things or ideas. And not all executives are necessarily Star Trek fans.
Right.
And they might
they also hire sometimes the showrunners that aren't Star Trek fans.
Right. Well, no, I think actually Alex hires all the showrunners.
Oh, so Alex does have some to blame there for like Michelle Paradise and like.
Right. But what I'm saying is like, he has responsibility, but what I'm trying to tell you is if you don't like the show, it's the showrunner who made it.
Right. That's correct.
There's no fingerprints, I guess, so to speak, on it, unless you want to say the fingerprints or he hired him in the first place. But guess what? He hired Terry Metalis. So
who was a super Star Trek fan. Right.
So you got to remember he worked on Voyager and Enterprise, guys. So it's not like he doesn't have a pedigree for Star Trek. He's a Berman era guy. No, anyways, we don't need to go on it anymore, but just we'll keep talking about it, keep coming back, and we'll keep beating the drum.
Yeah. Beating the drum. Anyways, that's it for the Weekly Terry.
The Weekly Terry.
All right, what's next?
I don't know. I felt like I talked a lot there.
You really did. I was like, I have a lot to say too, but I'm not. I'm just.
I should let you say more.
No, it's okay. It's all right. You were.
Listen,
Shane is so passionate about Picard season 3 right now, and I know why.
I am. Maybe you should do the Raw rant.
Oh, that's right. We have a raw rant. I forgot about that. Okay.
And actually does cover the whole country.
Okay. There's going to be a short raw rant though.
Yeah.
We were thinking about doing the free speech thing this week, but I'm like, what are we talking about so much? All right. There we go. Let's do the raw rant. Here we go.
Rant of the week.
We're talking about the post office. That's right. The United States Postal Service. Have you used them? Have you used USPS? Have you bought a postage stamp? You have any of those forever stamps that are forever going to have their value?
Yes, I do. Lots
You
of
do?
them.
Are they still
Yeah.
worth the value in which you procured them for?
Yes, they didn't. At least they didn't change that yet.
And how much are they worth, Shane?
Mine now, mine are probably worth about 44 cents each.
44 cents.
But now they cost a lot more than that. So
Right. Okay. So everyone knows, at least if you're in the States, you know what the USPS is, the United States Postal System. So service. It's the very first post office for the United States. These hard-working individuals, they will ride through sleet and snow to get you your mail. What's that post office? Remember the post office, the postman?
the Creed.
Creed?
Yeah, the movie, the Postman with that was actually a really good one.
Yeah, great
Kevin
movie.
Costner.
Yeah, the official creed, the postman oath. Ready?
The Oath, yes. I love that.
The post office and its oaths will include the pledges that we will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That just sounds like a regular oath. And bear truth, faith, and allegiance to the same. Oh, what?
Well, maybe it's not the same anymore. Maybe it's different. Did it say through snow and sleet and driving rain or something like that?
Yeah, through snow, nor rain, nor heat, nor gloom of night stays these courageous couriers from the swift completion of their appointed rounds.
Yes. And by the way, everything we're about to say right now has nothing to do with whether or not you are a member of the U.S. Post Office and you're an employee and you do not create rules and you don't set precedents.
Right. But the post office has been advising people to stop using their blue, iconic blue mail bins. I'm not sure what you call these things. Mail cans?
Mail, receptacles.
Receptacles. Mail trash can receptacles. Yes, you should not be using them anymore. And I'll tell you why. According to, I can't say the name of this website, the United States Postal Service has made mailing letters easy by placing their blue collection bins on thousands of streets across all corners of America, allowing many customers to walk just a few blocks to send off their mail rather than having to make a trip to the local post office. However, the USPS is now warning would-be mailers that the blue boxes might not be the best option. In a press release, the USPS explained that the collection bins has become hotspots for criminals looking to steal identities or checks, especially at certain times. Okay. The most important thing about this is not that the whole article talks about other ways that you can send mail. They say, go into the office, wait in line and talk to an actual postman or woman or whatever they're called. Or if it's after hours, then go in and use the collection bin inside the post office. What they're saying is that there's so much crime happening on the street that it's not
that your mail isn't safe.
It's not safe for you or your mail. The reason this is so funny is because it's really true. But it's actually been true for almost a decade now in coastal towns like Los Angeles, San Francisco, big coastal areas like where we live. I would never put my mail inside one of these collection bins. Maybe when I was younger, but in the last 5 years, I've actively avoided them.
Well, maybe just, I mean, looks like you can just put your stuff in and you can't get it back out. So my thing is like, are they breaking into them? Are they, I mean, because they basically said you need to protect yourself against fraud because people are trying to steal credit cards or information or whatever. And I'm like, post office, that used to be like, once that thing went in, it could not come back out.
Right. So I think it's not just like they're not saying that they're going to get it out of the box. I think they're also worried about someone accosting you before you put it into the box because people are waiting there. Like criminals are waiting there to like mug you and steal your stuff.
I mean, I didn't think about that.
It's not funny, but it's so horrible, man.
Yeah, I kind of thought it was like, because the post office, the U.S. Post Office is having so much trouble trying to just pay for itself that I'm like, I wonder if this is like a back way of like saying, well, we can't remove those bins, but we can save a bunch of gas money if we don't have to pick anything up.
Right. You know, and someone else, there was another one of these articles suggested that perhaps, because if you add up the routes they have, right? So a lot of postmen will just go to addresses. But there is set postmen that go specifically to box routes, right? And they usually have a much bigger truck, so that costs more money on gas. It's harder to park. They can't park in the bus lane. So it takes a little longer, even though it's easier for people, you know, but instead of having like multiple postmen, they have like fewer postmen, but they do a harder job. And so this might be a really cool backdoor pilot kind of way of being like, let's just get rid of those things.
Yeah, it's the long con to get rid of those routes. So you got less people you got to pay. You're paying less money, and it's a way for the post office to save money without being the bad guys.
It's the criminals.
Yeah,
it's not us guys. It's the criminals. Remember, we got rid of not everywhere, but a lot of places got rid of like the newspaper. What are they called?
Racks. Yeah.
Yeah. Newspaper like boxes or whatever. And telephone boxes. And for a while there, they were like even replacing some of the telephone boxes with like more upgraded ones with like internet and all that. And that worked for about 5 minutes before it was completely destroyed and people were literally just sleeping in there, you know? So I can totally see this as being like a backdoor way of them saying, you know what? This is just too much. Because they have to maintain the boxes. They have to maintain the routes, right? And I haven't used one in a long time. So
how old is the post office? This is why we need to have a raw rant on this, because if it's a money saving thing. Now here's the deal. Nothing against post office employees. I'm prior military. I get working for the government. But it is kind of a sweet deal. They allowed post office people to retire pretty young, and they offered them pretty incredible benefits. It was really a good job to have for the post office. But because people are living longer, they didn't really have the money to take care of all these retired people. And that's a big reason why the post office doesn't have money.
Well, USPS is only technically 51 years old.
No, so USPS.com, right?
Oh, I thought it was like, no, not .com. Like the organization was started in 1971. Before that, it was the USPOD. I don't know. It sounds like the same.
Right. Well, it's all the same damn organization. They just named it differently. So it's all the same thing. This whole like through sleet of snow and all this stuff, that was from way long ago. Okay.
Right.
I think Benjamin Franklin, didn't he start the post office thing or something?
Yeah. But it was called the Post Office Department. I guess it was like semi-privatized into USPS in the 70s.
Yeah. And then the government took it over in 71. So here's the deal. The mail, the cost to deliver a package, a first class package, went from, who knows, in 71, maybe it was $1, maybe it's 50 cents, or whatever it was to ship a package. Up until the year 2016, that price rose all the way up to about, I don't know, $2.99.
Right.
Okay. It took 45 years to go from $1 to $2.99. Mm-hmm. Okay. In the last several years, it has gone from $2.99 for a first class package, 4 ounce, to $4.26 and higher.
Yeah,
it has increased so much in the last few years that shipping things through the mail has become ridiculous. And that impacts businesses, it impacts people just shipping stuff for Christmas. It's changed the entire environment. And the reason this has happened is so they can pay their retired people and continue to pay employees who want to make more and more money, which I totally get. They have all these benefits. The post office is broken as it is.
It is broken. Yeah, it's not just the cost for packages for regular people, because they're also giving special prices to giant businesses that are absolutely ravaging them financially, and so they offload their now new cost onto regular people instead of companies like Amazon and Microsoft and like corporations. I'm not sure why we're paying double the cost so that Amazon can afford their next day delivery that cost them $1.75. It's clearly someone's losing money.
Yeah,
and then it is an Amazon.
No, and they're making the post office is making pennies on the Amazon stuff. They're not making a ton of money, but it's Amazon, so it's like bulk shipping. So they accept that discount, so Amazon will go with them instead of like FedEx or DHL or UPS or whatever. And
so their employees they're doing extra work,
right?
So who has to bear the additional cost of retirement and extra wages?
Well, it was either that and Jeff Bezos really put the post office over a barrel, and they said, "Oh, I'll just start my own post office," and then everybody freaked out.
Right.
So
I didn't know this, but did you know that UPS has been around for 115 years?
I'm not surprised. Yeah.
That's crazy. 115 years, bro. The company was founded in 1907.
There was some entrepreneur way back then. It's like, people are going to really want to send stuff to each other.
Why is your stock price still under $200? I don't get it.
Maybe it split several times.
Yeah, man, it's possible. Somebody back then was like, you know what? There's this new... People really want to like send things to other people, and they don't want to go there themselves.
Right. Yeah. It's the Uber of its time.
Imagine being an inventor back then, just like common sense inventions like you can do now. If it's all been done, like back then, you're like, you know what would be good? A way people can like brush their teeth without using sticks.
Yeah. Well, just when you think it's all been done, then somebody does something different. But yeah, so so make sure you guys like and subscribe to this. If you like the raw rant that we do here, just please subscribe and join our channel. We appreciate it.
Yeah, we do. All right, next up.
Hold on a sec. This is actually a really funny comment here. So the comment, if you look up on the thing that's there, is from the previous thing we were talking about with Kurtzman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was up there for the whole raw rant video. That's hilarious. So if you're watching the raw rant clip, then you're going to see that. But I do want to address real quick. It's okay.
To take it off.
It's okay. So I just want to address this really quick, because that old Yorkshire geek had a comment here, and I just want to put this to bed really quick. It says, "But Kurtzman is the big cheese, and if he wants a season to go in a certain direction, his people will feel obligated to do as he says. I don't think he is just sitting back in his big chair counting money." Okay. So just so you know, and I'm just going to shoot it to you straight. Okay. We know for a fact that Alex Kurtzman is not telling people what they should do with their show. Now, if he did, I would agree with you that they would probably likely want to do what he says because they work for him. But the reality is he's not. So you're right. Now, what he's collecting his money for is being on time, not being over budget, and people are showing up to watch the shows. That's what he's getting paid for. And I don't know why. Listen, if I was the guy in charge of Star Trek, or if I was Kevin Feige or Alex Kurtzman or whatever, you can bet your butt that I would be making sure that the entire thing was the way I thought it should be done.
Yeah, Shane would be the Kevin Feige of the Star Trek universe.
100%. I would make sure. I would be like, what's your show about? No, that is not right. Yeah. That's what Rick Berman did for Star Trek. The difference is,
wait. When Shane saw the dailies for Discovery, he'd be like, listen, can someone tell me why is everyone crying?
Right. Nobody should cry. But the thing is that Alex Kurtzman doesn't really know anything about Star Trek. So,
he doesn't.
He doesn't really. He doesn't. He's not a Star Trek fan. Not really. He said it himself. He's not. He wasn't a huge fan of Star Trek growing up. He's a guy who likes to make movies and he likes science fiction. He likes stuff, but he's not a fan. And so he's letting fans, if you talk to all the people who are making shows, they say they like Star Trek. Now, they may not have a good vision for it, but so what I'm telling you is just, you don't know. How do you know if I know the truth? But I'm just telling you that I know this. I know that he is not necessarily at this time telling people what to do in their shows. Could he? He could, but he hasn't up till now. So take that to the bank.
And there'll be a day in the future we can explain how we know that. But
yeah, we will. Yeah, and there will come a time.
But we can't now. So now we just sound like shills because we can't show you our math right now.
I don't think it sounds like I basically just said he doesn't know anything about Star Trek.
I know.
So
I know what you're saying.
I can be a shill.
I'm just saying we're not.
If I insult somebody, yeah.
Right. Moving on.
We're truth speakers. Honest pop culture.
Truth speakers.
That's it. Thank you, Old Yorkshire. I will not tell you the wrong thing. I promise you.
Old Yorkshire geek.
I like the way you said that.
Yorkshire?
It's Yorkshire. Yeah.
You know what you need to do, but because you have that old Yorkshire, you need to put ye old Yorkshire.
Ye old Yorkshire.
Ye old Yorkshire.
What is next, my friend?
I will tell you, my friend. Double friend.
One more real quick. Paul Kelly asked a question here that I thought was good.
Go.
How much would it cost you to send a standard letter within your state, and how much to post it to further states? So, Paul, the one cool thing about USPS is that a stamp is good anywhere in the country. So if you mail a letter, as long as it doesn't weigh over a certain amount, I'm not sure how much. If you just send a letter, a stamp will get it anywhere. It's when you put something in a package that it starts to change. And if you mail something within California, it is cheaper than mailing it anywhere else outside of the state.
So basically a stamp is the cost to what it costs to send a letter.
Yes.
That's what it costs.
Which is, I think right now, like, how much is a stamp?
That's why the cost, that's why those forever stamps are so valuable to people. Or people that
60 cents per stamp.
People that collect stamps, because you can buy a stamp at the current cost, and in 10 years, when those stamps now cost extra money, technically the value of the stamps you bought 10 years prior have now doubled in value.
Yeah, so my stamps are worth 44 cents. I bought them when they were 44 cents, and now they cost 60 cents. So I'm saving 16 cents every time I send a letter.
Right. Or he can sell those and make the profit.
I guess there's people out there selling stamps. I don't know.
Yeah, you can sell forever stamps. They're like currency.
Oh, all right.
That's my new like financial strategy is I'm just gonna buy all the stamps.
Let's pay people in stamps.
Yeah.
From now on.
Buy all the stamps.
Well, that goes over.
Listen. I owe you $300. Here is 213 stamps. It's worth $300.
Now you sound like I'm in Italy again. That's how they were rolling.
Okay. It's so funny. All right, man. We are going to be talking about. We're talking about Quantum Leap, and it looks like Ernie Hudson has been speaking to Black Nerd Girl. Is that right?
This is a Black Girl Nerds.
Black Girl Nerds about the new. It's not a reboot.
I know. It's the first thing I thought.
It's not a reboot.
Why is it so hard to get people to understand that this Quantum Leap is not a reboot?
Drives me nuts, bro.
Reboot literally means, where the term, I mean, hopefully everybody knows, but if you don't know, the term reboot comes from restarting your computer. When you rebooted your computer, you turned it off and then turned it back on, and you had a completely new experience, I guess. You rebooted the computer. So a reboot is technically, and now like if you think of it that way, I guess you could say, well, Well, you turned the computer off. Now you turned it back on. So now it's a new experience. But that's not what reboots have traditionally been considered.
Yeah.
Right.
So
reboot is starting over.
Right. Yeah. So reboot means like when it comes to television and movies, a reboot is when you are starting again. Right. You're starting with new cast, new story. There's
starting from scratch.
From scratch. It's not a continuation of the original intellectual property that it's based on. This is a continuation. If you really want to harp on the word, maybe you can call it a revival, but even then it wouldn't be correct. So let's just call it what it is. It's Quantum Leap 2022. That's what it is. It's an actual, real
continuation.
A real year for year, time allotted continuation of Quantum Leap. So this is just Quantum Leap. It's just a Quantum Leap 30 years later. That's what it is. I don't know why. These are like actual journalists. I don't know about this person, but actual like paid journalists with blue check marks and 2 million followers they keep calling it a reboot. It's gonna drive me crazy, bro.
Are they paying their $8 for their blue check?
But they're not. They're paying their $8. Play your $8 because you need the money to go back to school to learn what English is, and that's coming from a guy with a speech impediment. How dare you?
So Ernie Hudson, who's playing Magic, Herbert Magic Williams on the continuation of Quantum Leap 2022, a character who actually, another reason why it's not a reboot, this character was in the original series.
He was in the original series. You're talking
and
about a character who was this. It's the same character from both series, and you're still calling it a reboot.
So Dr. Sam Beckett leapt into Magic's body during the Vietnam War, saved the entire platoon. And so we have this wonderful thing that happens in Quantum Leap this year where Magic actually describes the experience that occurred. And we, for the first time, get to hear what it's like to be jumped into, or what it feels like to be jumped into, and kind of what that experience is like. Really great. I love that they did that. I thought awesome. It was fantastic world building. So in this is one of the few interviews we've got to see from the cast. And he goes on to tell this website basically a little bit about his character. And essentially what he says here is that Magic got this team together to restart the program because he wanted to bring Sam Beckett home. Now, he kind of alludes to that in the show, but right here, Ernie Hudson essentially solidifies that's the reason why Magic is currently in Quantum Leap. His goal, his purpose, the primary purpose of bringing Dr. Beckett, the primary purpose is bringing Dr. Beckett home.
Right.
So what does that tell us? This is really important if you're watching Quantum Leap. We've been trying to figure out why the heck Ben leapt out early, unexpectedly, without telling anyone, and when he wasn't even supposed to be the leaper. Mm-hmm. And for the longest time, we kept saying, well, it must be because he's going to get Sam and bring Sam home. Like, what's the purpose of doing it? Well, this actually confirms that is not the reason. It's the reason he leapt. It may not end up being what actually happens, and we hope that, and we have a theory in our other video that actually talks about it. And we do think he'll find Dr. Beckett, but this confirms for us that he didn't leap for that reason, because he wouldn't have, if the goal was to get Sam home, then he would have never leapt alone to go get him. The team would have already been working on that. So this kind of confirms to us that Ben did not leap for that reason, and it changes what a lot of people's theories are. So while our theory, and just to give you a quick thing on it, we believe that Ben is going to run into Sam along the way unexpectedly. Right. And you can watch the thing if you want to know more about it. But what do you think, Brian, about this whole thing? He first started.
Yeah, I think that, and this is the video. You guys go check it out. It's called, Search for Sam. I do think that this is confirmation that Ben isn't looking for Sam, because if he was looking for Sam and he was aware that Magic was also joined the program for the purpose of paying Sam back and finding Sam, then he wouldn't have hid that fact from Magic and leapt on his own. He would have utilized Magic in his mission, unless Magic does know, and for some reason he's playing dumb, which I don't think that's the case.
Well, yeah, he didn't. Maybe he didn't share it with it, but we do know that Jen knows the story,
and so does
and
Ian.
now he's told. So maybe he never did tell. I mean, it's possible, right? But I think the show would kind of come up a little lame if that was the case. If he jumped, he's like, "Why did you jump? Why did you leap, Ben? We were going to save him anyways." You know, that would be kind of a lame way to do a show, and I don't think that in the spirit of what we've seen up to this point, that's the way they're going. It's just, I can't believe it's going to be that dumb. So they're way too intelligent up to this point. It's been too interesting. I don't think that's the answer.
Yeah, so far it's been totally rock solid. Like, great television, great Quantum Leap, really good stories. And, you know, we were actually bummed out a little bit that, like, our last video didn't seem to take off like they usually do. And it was probably because there isn't a big audience yet for Quantum Leap like there is for Star Trek and other things. But I'm telling you, if you are a fan of science fiction, I'm not even going to say Quantum Leap. I'm just going to say science fiction. This is a rock solid science fiction show. It's really good. It's not like woke or whatever. Some of the casting made it appear that way. I know we complained about it before we had seen it. When you actually watch the show, like, it is proper storytelling. It's very good. It's well done science fiction. And it honors the original series. So if you're a fan of the original series, it not only honors it, but it mentions them constantly. It really gives credit to the original actors and characters for everything happening on screen. And it's really well done. It's really well done. You need to watch it.
So a $2 super chat here from Orville Nation. It's literally season 6.
Right.
And, you know, guys, it is. You know, there was never a season 6, of course, because Sam Beckett with 1 T, can't believe they messed that up, never came home.
Did they mess it up, really?
They did. They misspelled his name. The studio actually put that card up because when it was canceled, it was not Don Belisario who ended up putting the card up. So that final thing came from the network who didn't even know the spelling of Dr. Beckett's name. Which is a shame.
That's like O'Neill. 2 L's.
Right. So, you know, season 6 was supposed to be, and you can learn that in this video actually, there was actually a plan for season 6 where Al was going to leap into the future after Sam. And so you can look at that if you want to see more. But so thank you for that super chat, PJ. You're 100% right. This is essentially season 6.
Right. And we explain it, like Shane said. We also explain how that possible season 6 could connect to this actual season 6.
Right. And I noticed that Paul said something over here. He said, well, I still believe in a waiting room. And then runs away. And what's funny, I love how Paul did that because he's right. The waiting room in the original series was, and the fact that they don't have one here, and they came out, the writers came out, and there's an article out there that talks about it, where they just simply did away with the waiting room. Mm-hmm. And it's hard that they did that because in a way it gets rid of canon, right? But at the same time, it can really screw up your writing process. Mm-hmm. Like it makes you question why you don't do certain things when you have somebody sitting in the waiting room, whatever body Ben is in the waiting room. And it really can mess up the storytelling, which is why the original series didn't go there very often. And so now they're like, we're just going to get rid of it altogether. But you do have fans who are like, there's no waiting room. I don't want to watch it.
Well,
to me, that's a cop out.
Well, it's a cop out too, because I feel like, why can't the technology have, like, it's, again, this is in the future. It's not like it's in the past. Like if it was taking place alongside of or before our Quantum Leap, that's a valid criticism. What if I
do feel like it should have been addressed. That the show should have addressed it inside the story somehow. And that would have been cool. And it would have just like really put people's minds at ease. And like we could have moved on from it.
We're six
but the people who don't want to like this show, what?
We're 6 episodes in now.
Right. But it would have been addressed already.
Okay.
I think. They still could. Maybe they will when they shoot the final 6. Maybe they will have heard everybody. Because what a lot of the people who are saying, "Well, I'm not watching Quantum Leap. There's no Scott Bakula, and there's not even a waiting room," and it's like, well, if you're using that to be the reason why you don't watch the show, then that's not right, because they have not explained it. But I don't think the waiting room was so critical to telling the story of Quantum Leap that it not being here makes it so you can't watch this Quantum Leap.
But I also think that because they haven't explained it, you can explain that criticism away by saying it's been 30 years. The technology should be better in 30 years.
That's not how, I know, but that's not how things work. Like, yeah, you can explain it away with your own headcanon, but I don't believe in making your own headcanon. I believe in only what's been given to me.
Hold up, though. They haven't given it to you yet, so they haven't explained it either way. They haven't explained it to the point where it deserves criticism.
I don't think they will. No, the criticism is they're not going to address it.
Well, so that would be criticism, but the criticism shouldn't be, well, there's no waiting room, because there's no explanation of said waiting room yet. So until there's an explanation, it can't be a criticism.
That's not true. What if they never show it? So you can never criticize it? That doesn't make any sense.
Again, though, 6 episodes in. Like, you're saying they should have already addressed it, but there's plenty they haven't addressed yet. When 90% of every episode is spent on the leap itself, and so little of it's spent on the actual HQ.
I'm sorry, man. This many episodes in, there should be an explanation. If Sam's body, or if the body of the leaper is removed in some way, or the soul is removed into Ben's body. So Ben's body should technically be in the waiting room, and the soul of the person that he just replaced is there.
Yeah, but isn't Ben's body completely gone? They did explain that.
I don't think to the satisfaction of.
But they did. They said his body's gone.
Just simply saying his body's gone is not an answer.
It was more than that, but
he's
so with this tech, him and his body leapt, not just his mind.
Right. But the reason why they did this in the original series where there was a waiting room is because you couldn't philosophically explain where his body is.
I get what you're saying.
Right. And so now we have this weird, where's his body? Where's his body?
I think it's nitpicky.
It is. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not a reason not to watch the show, but it is something that's unexplained and they should be held accountable for. There should be I think what they're doing is let's just not talk about it because there's really no way to explain this away. They decided not to do it because it's harder and it makes things more difficult.
Real quick.
They should have never done it in the first place.
I want to applaud you, Shane, because Shane found this ridiculously old footage of the reshot thing.
Oh yeah.
It looks bad because the footage was really bad. I literally let it play with stars overlaying it because it looks so bad. My OCD mind couldn't allow the audience to see it in its native form. But I'm so proud of you, bro. You found a website and a video of people that found film negatives of the original ending.
Yeah, it's so cool. There was a YouTuber that loved Quantum Leap so much that she talked about it. And honestly, had she not been so obsessed with Quantum Leap, this would have never came out because Don Belisario, that guy right there that we're seeing, he kept denying it. He didn't want people to know that there was more to it because he knew that we weren't going to get to make more Quantum Leap maybe for a long time. And he didn't want fans to be upset. And so, but the problem is when you're on set, people take photos. Right. And video is shot. So this YouTuber found a bunch of negatives and they were buying up Quantum Leap negatives and different shows that she liked. And when she got it, she was looking at the negative and she's like, don't remember ever seeing that. And that's when she realized it. And shortly after she put that out on Reddit came the actual video from the alternate ending shoot. And that's awesome. Script showed up for what would have happened for season 6. And it's oh, dang, there was all of this plan to continue Quantum Leap.
And you know what's funny is that season, and if you watch the video, you'll see it, that potential season 6 can actually play perfectly into what we're seeing now in this actual season 6.
Minus Al, because that portion of it never happen, but yeah. So
hey, real quick, Dark Knight. Yeah, so he says, in the original series, and it says Dr. Sam Beckett stepped into the Quantum Leap Accelerator and vanished. that is in the original. That's exactly what they say at the beginning of every episode. So I don't know. Maybe the writing.
I do have one other criticism of the show. And listen, love the show. Show's going great. Really enjoying it. They haven't let Ziggy talk yet, and that was something that was really important to the original series. And I think it's something that really needs to happen in this show too, because we really need to hear Deborah's voice, who's also a producer, who is Donald Belisario's ex-wife, and was the voice of Ziggy. And it would be great to hear that. And she's given credit as being the voice of Ziggy in the show. So at some point we're going to hear it, I think, or else they wouldn't have put it. But
yeah, you can't. But yeah, so I think that some people are looking for everything to be given to them very quickly. And like we are 6 episodes in, like there's got to be a slow burn. We have to fall in love with these new characters before every single old member berry is addressed.
Well, Ziggy's already being utilized. So that's not fair. And they're also halfway through the original shoot. So I would say that Ziggy is an integral part. Ziggy is probably the most important element of Quantum Leap.
We're gonna have 20. We're gonna have 20 episodes, right? 18 episodes.
18 episodes.
It's a lot.
So
it's a lot of episodes.
But if they didn't film it in the first 6, I'm like, when does it kind of happen? You know what I mean? Like, it's not much. Ziggy speaking is not a big deal. And you could have some really great quipping between Ziggy and Ian. So it just,
true. Well, I'm sure we'll get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So address this, please. Dark Knight says Sam wasn't in the imaging chamber waiting room area in the original series. He said he just finished the Evil Leapo trilogy, and the people in the waiting room were always the actual people.
Well, that's what we saw, but I think it was explained that it was supposed to be Sam's body with them in it. It's a really muddy thing they did with the original series with the waiting room. They didn't show it very often. And I think if you ask Donald, like, I bet he would say, I wish I would have never done that, because what you do need to know is it is very possible for Ben to be leaping around out there in his body, technically, because Sam is leaping in his own body now. So his final leap, it was him leaping. So, but you saw him. So Ben is leaping into other people. So it just, like I said, there's no solution to it. It's just not happening, and it feels like it's a little bit of an empty thing. But I think if you just stop worrying about it and move forward, then we can just kind of get past it.
Don't worry about it, bro. Don't worry about it.
It's not changing the story at all.
What about this? Dr. Sam Beckett stepped into the Quantum Leap accelerator and vanished.
That's what it says at the beginning.
So if he vanished, then how is he in the waiting room?
They later on added the waiting room. So that was the beginning of the show. And somehow they were like, we need to talk to somebody, and we're going to put him in a waiting room.
I have a theory. I think the people that, first off, I think the writers that are writing this current show, I think they're Quantum Leap fans. I do.
Yeah, well, 100%. Well, and the creator is part of the writing team.
Because it's so Quantum Leap. I think that utilizing the fact that it's been 30 years and technology can change, I think that can actually be writing a problem with the original series.
I'm okay with that because they rebuilt the system. You got to remember, this is not the original. I don't know if anybody's really aware of this. This is not the Quantum Leap facility that Sam Beckett built. This is a rebuilt facility based on his on his work, on his technology. So there could be other things. I don't know why. They should have probably just had a one-off thing saying it's a good thing we don't need that. It's a good thing we don't need that waiting room anymore.
Yeah. Our new facility is so small. Thank God we don't need that waiting room anymore.
Yeah. Anything like, all right.
Yeah. There's, by the way, all these questions are great. We don't have the answer for these questions. Like, how do you jump forward in time? We don't know.
How do you what?
Atheist for the cause question. If you can't jump forward in time, then how do you ever get back once jumping? Well, you can jump forward in time, apparently.
Well, here's how you can jump forward in time. You guys want to know the answer?
Just don't do the slingshot thing. Do not dare.
No. Go watch the video. No, I'm just kidding. No. It does say it in the video because here's what happens. Really, here's how Sam got to the future. Okay, if season 6 would have happened, Sam was going to the future. It was God, fate, or whoever that bartender was sent him there.
I hate that so much.
That's how we got to the future. Because remember, Quantum Leap really embraced the idea that that Sam eventually could control where he wanted to go. Like he told him, you can go anywhere you want. And so he controlled that by going to right or wrong, by going to Beth when she thought Al had died in Vietnam. And so she didn't move on with her life before he came home because he was a prisoner of war. And he leapt there to tell her he had control of where he went. So Sam leapt into the future, according to what was going to happen with season 6. And the bartender tells this to Al, who leaps into the bar. So go check out that video if you want to learn more about that. And we think Ben is probably heading that way too.
Yeah. Hey, Dork
because
Knight.
they say it in the last 2 episodes ago.
Dork Knight, if you're still watching, please come to the members section after we're done here. And come to the members part of the video, the show, because I have something to tell you. Because I think you're going to cry. That's it. That's all I'll say.
Wow, you're going to make somebody cry in the members section. Nobody's going to want to come to the members section.
I'm not going to make them cry. I'm not going to cry. I can't say more than that. So, Danny, if you're still watching, please come to the members section when we're done here so I can tell you more. Okay.
And if you're enjoying Quantum Leap and you like our takes on what's happening, please, we do review the show every Monday, right?
Yep. Every Tuesday morning.
Or every Monday we watch it. Tuesday morning we review it live with our members. So subscribe, like, and you can get that. We will be getting that information out.
Yeah, and to become a member of our main channel, you cannot click the join button if you're watching it on this channel. You actually have to click it in the description or in the pinned comment.
Yes, that'll take you over to our main channel.
Yeah, we have more than one channel. Okay, that's it. Let's move on.
Hey, okay. Maria.
Thank you, Danny. Maria, what's up? Hey. Whenever she does that, this is the way I think. Hey.
That's funny. That's also the way you say it.
Hey. Yeah, I do. I do say it that way. Because you both are fabulous. Thank you, Maria.
Thank you, Maria, for the super chat. You're awesome. You are fab as well.
You're super fab. All right, we're going to be talking about, Black Adam. My current favorite topic because I am such a Dwayne Johnson simp.
Did I pick too many things today to talk about?
You absolutely did, I think.
Yeah, we're like halfway through, guys. So this will be fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good day. Okay. Yeah, you actually have a lot of things on there, and the Twitter things are long segments.
Well, I think we talked too much about them. Like we were very opinionated, I think, on it.
Well, you can't bring up. Okay, there's a few things you can't bring up around me without wanting to have a conversation. Freedom of speech, Star Trek Iconians. And the term reboot.
This is true. So
what did we talk about today?
All 3 of those things.
Okay. What do you want from me? What do you what do you want me to do?
I'm sorry. I'll try better.
All right. He's gonna actively avoid free speech topics.
I'm not gonna talk about those things. Everybody's like, wow, it's the whole reason we're here is to talk about
so we can't talk about this because it has something to do with free speech. All right, man. Let's talk about Black Adam because this dude is smashing box office milestones. Now, here's the deal. It's not breaking records or whatever, but Black Adam does strike a major box office milestone in its second week. It has finally surpassed, according to Variety, the $250 million mark. This is a big deal. Now, is it on the same par as like Man of Steel or Batman versus Superman or some of its other contemporaries that reached $1 million, Aquaman per se? No, it's not. But considering the movie cost around $200 million to make, plus you got to assume probably around $100 million in marketing and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
The fact that it's already made $250 million in its second week, and it hasn't launched in China yet. This movie is probably going to hit the $500,000 mark, $500 million mark fairly easily. Probably going to get to $500 million. And that means that this will be not only a success for DC, but a success for Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And that is really important because he is putting a lot of his eggs in this basket, and he is not getting all the accolades from Warner Brothers that he expected to get when they gave James Gunn the job, and a couple other like sort of loosely connected things that I can see annoying Dwayne Johnson. It's important that this movie does really well so that the things that aren't monetary that he's not getting from this movie, he can get because the monetary value is stacking up fairly quickly.
Yeah, there's something that's very absent from everything that's happened recently, and that is a congratulations tweet from Johnson to James Gunn, which has not occurred.
Right.
And that silence is deafening because there are some people who thought that Dwayne Johnson wanted that role in some ways. And the fact that he's been pretty silent about the whole James Gunn thing, we don't know if it means he's not happy about it or he is. You've got Grace Randolph out there kind of spouting this whole like Dwayne Johnson versus James Gunn thing.
Yeah. First off, real quick, Grace Randolph doesn't know what she's talking about. Okay. You should never take what she says seriously. She's only right a third of the time, and the other 2/3 of the time, she's either wrong by accident or wrong on purpose. She is not. But she's not good at her job. Sorry, I don't even know
the information she's putting out is you're right or wrong. The information she's putting out, it's logical.
Yeah, but it's also hyper opinionated. She also despises Henry Cavill, despises him. So she doesn't like Dwayne Johnson. She doesn't like Henry Cavill. She doesn't like DC. And from the get, she was complaining about Black Adam. So any way, and she hates James Gunn. What did James Gunn? Remember that James Gunn tweet?
I do, yeah.
James Gunn, the guy who could control. Okay, guys, I think I have to show this, Shane, before you can finish your statement. I'm so sorry.
Well, I haven't really said what she said yet, and I'm not sure.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, and
I'm not sure that you know what I'm going to say, but
you're right. My bad.
Yeah, so I should say it probably, and that is that Dwayne Johnson's kind of idea for DC. She's intimating that his idea and James Gunn's ideas don't align. That Dwayne Johnson wants Black Adam to basically fight the Justice League and Superman and also Suicide Squad. And James Gunn wants Suicide Squad versus Justice League, but maybe not Black Adam. That's what she's saying. So she's wondering, or she's saying, maybe they're not going to get along. Maybe there's going to be some trouble brewing because maybe James Gunn doesn't want Black Adam to be the center of the DC universe going forward.
I see. Well,
and Dwayne does.
Okay, man. So look, I can see that logic or whatever, but I don't understand. Like, why does she think that James Gunn has some kind of like he feel ownership over Suicide Squad, and he's not going to let Black Adam play in the same box as Suicide Squad?
Well, I mean, I think that's what she's saying, that's potentially possible, that there might be some sort of struggle for control over DC, that maybe Johnson isn't excited that Gunn got the job because maybe he's not going to be as open to Dwayne Johnson's ideas as maybe somebody else would have.
I don't know. For me, that feels like a leap. It feels like a leap. I can see how you can get there. How you can put those pieces together and get to that conclusion. But it also feels like Grace Randolph hates Dwayne Johnson and she despises James Gunn. So any of her opinions on the topic I know is being filtered through that extreme hate. So it's hard to take anything she says seriously. And James Gunn himself tweeted, like, everything Grace Randolph says is bullcrap. He used a different word, but he said that.
Yeah.
She does not like these people. She is,
and that's definitely a motivation. But I am saying that she has a huge following, and she claims insider information. So, I mean, it is something that, and The Rock has been quiet about this. And it's a huge DC thing. And if he's going to be huge in DC, you would think there would be some sort of weigh-in on James Gunn getting this job.
Yeah. So my question is, I'm looking for a more logical reason as to why he'd have a problem with it, right?
Yeah.
What if it had nothing to do with that nonsense, and instead it had everything to do with the fact that maybe he's negotiating a new contract still?
Yeah.
Maybe because so a lot of the things that they put out online, they put things out sometimes just to get the party they're negotiating with to give them the number they want or whatever. He might be withholding his praise, or withholding a congratulations until after some deal is made. We don't 100% know what's going on.
Right.
But I do know this from the mouth of James Gunn himself. The earth revolves around the sun. Mothers love their children, and Grace Randolph will spout BS.
Yes. So I agree. There's obviously, she has motive. If it was a murder, there would be motive. But I also can follow the logic in what she's saying, not saying I agree with her, but saying that there's some logic to what she said, especially since The Rock is very gracious, is very verbose, and has a lot to say on Twitter all the time. And the fact that the guy who got hired to oversee his future as Black Adam, that's been dead silent, is a little strange.
You're right. It is strange. But on that same note, it is still very important, going back to this, that Black Adam kills it, because let's say that's correct. Let's say Johnson doesn't like Gunn. He didn't get the job he wanted. If the movie makes 3 times its budget, then the dump truck will be ceremoniously backed up to The Rock's house every time they make a Black Adam movie.
Right.
So if you like the movie and you like the character, regardless of the drama and stuff, I think that can all be worked out, because I'm sorry to say, guys, aside from death, money solves most problems.
Yeah.
It really does.
I mean, it does. It doesn't make you happy, but it definitely gives you, it's a tool. It gives you more opportunity. Yeah.
Right. So, like, you know what? If you want another job? You want this particular position? You want executive producer of your role? You want to fight? You want Black Adam to fight the Suicide Squad? James Gunn is a phenomenal writer, and with enough money and persuasion, I don't see how you can't talk him into writing in a good movie where that works out. To be fair, I think that a just Black Adam versus Suicide Squad movie is a horrible idea, because the Suicide Squad would be instantly murdered by Black Adam. Just like Black Adam versus Superman versus Suicide Squad is a horrible idea. But I tell you what's a great idea is Black Adam versus the Justice League or Superman or whatever. But the Suicide Squad is in a unique place where it needs to be a problem that is slightly bigger than the average hero, but still has to be underneath Superman's ability to solve the problem. Like, Suicide Squad would be instantly murdered by any one of the Justice League members.
Right.
Instantly. Even Batman with no powers can kill all the Suicide Squad in very short order. So, there's a special place for them. I do believe James Gunn has the ability to make that happen, and I think they can get past their issues. And I love the fact that it's already made $250 million, and I love it even more that it's going to be opening in China soon, and that accounted for what, $150 million?
Dollars
of the Rock's last project. So we're almost guaranteed another $150 million, $200 million from China when it opens.
Yeah, I mean, they're having some monetary struggles right now, but I definitely see it breaking 500. They have 8 more days before Wakanda Forever comes out.
Right.
And then it's going to see a huge decline at that point.
So we have one more weekend then. One more weekend.
Basically 1 more week, yeah.
All right, so 1 more week at $50 million or so on average here. So the movie is going to probably make $300 million before it opens in China. And we all know Black Panther is not opening in China. So when it does open in China without Black Panther and nothing else to back it up, you're probably going to clear another 300 million there. This movie's probably going to make between, based on current trajectories, predictions, I would assume it's going to make $600 to $700 million when it's all done and said.
I would say probably, yeah. That's a really good average. I would say close to 6, probably. I mean, there's other worldwide audiences, so I think that's pretty accurate what you said.
Yeah. And regarding Gunn's new role, Yorkshire, there's 2 people in charge of DC. One is handling the creative and one is handling the business. And Gunn is in charge of the creative side of that. So he's going to have time to write because that's like his only job. That's his job, is to guide the ship. So hopefully that works out. If you are not subscribed to the channel, hit that button on the way to the comment section. Let us know what you guys think about Black Adam. I do not think Black Adam will reach $1 billion during its theatrical run, Daniel. I'm sorry. I wish it did. I do not think it'll reach $1 billion during this theatrical run. I think that eventually it'll make $1 billion with digital downloads and DVD sales and all that, but
I don't think it's $1 billion movie.
it's not.
I don't think it deserves to be $1 billion movie. It's not. I mean, it was a great movie. It was a lot of fun, but it's not deserving of $1 billion.
I think $1 billion movie requires other movies to set it up,
especially for superhero movies.
Especially,
yeah. There needs to be a buildup. Could there be a Black Adam movie in the future that's $1 billion? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Something to do with the Justice League? Hell yeah.
I mean, listen, you want to make $1 billion, you make a Superman versus Black Adam movie. That'll make $1 billion. But you got to set it up. You got to set that up. You can't
you have to. Yeah. This is the first movie. What did the first Iron Man make? It's not $1 billion.
I'm going to guarantee that. And that was a really
find out right now.
Yeah. Check it out.
It made about $435 million.
There you go. It's going to make more than that. Okay. So that's it. Hit the subscribe button. Let us know what you guys think about this story. All right. Next up in the news, we're finally going to be talking about jam. John, you went ham on these topics today.
I did a little bit, but I think you'll thank me later in the week when you have something else to do.
Okay. When I have something
or not, he's like, I am not going to thank you.
Yeah, it just means I have a lot more work to do, but that's okay. That's fine. I love doing it. I love it.
Daniel's Hot Topics. Hey, what's up? So how was your Halloween, guys? I loved Halloween, and I am so sad it's over. Brian, how was your Halloween?
I didn't do anything, so fine, I guess.
Halloween is my favorite holiday.
Yeah,
it's 100% my favorite. And we had a great time with the kids. Did the whole yard. It was fantastic, and I'm sad it's over too because the next holiday that really matters costs me a fortune, and I am just not looking forward to Christmas.
Yeah, I no longer look forward to holidays. I've stopped looking forward to them. I look forward to TV shows coming out, movies coming out, events like that, but I don't really care about most holidays. I actually don't think I might care about any holidays.
I mean, it's cool when you're a kid or when you're like a young adult and like your parents still give you things. It's kind of cool. Like, what am I going to get? But once you're like a dad, it's kind of like, it's really not about you anymore. It's really about your kids,
Christmas
and
costs a bunch of money. Yeah.
And it costs a bunch of money. So there's like stress, but it is great seeing your kids.
Yeah. It's magical in that sense, Yeah, I guess what I did on Halloween was I had a big old giant bag of candy and I sat at the door watching, I think it was Quantum Leap and giving candy out to kids with horrible costumes. And some teenagers without costumes. I had teenagers walk over the door with zero effort. And I was like, they're like, trick or treat. And I'm like, you're not even wearing costumes. Yeah, I am. I am him today, and he is me. And I'm like,
Did any of them say, is that it?
No. I mean, it was a big giant bag. I would reach in there. And go, the only fun I got out of it was like putting too much candy in their bin. I'm like, and you see the parents in the back like, what the? I was literally giving them handfuls. I have a trash bag, like an industrial side trash bag of candy.
Yeah,
I got it at the community center after their event, so I just had a giant bag of candy.
Oh, to use it, yeah. I tell you one thing I don't like about Halloween anymore, and that is Costco. So Costco has ruined Halloween. And the reason why is when you were a kid, like when I was a kid or when you were a kid, when you got a candy bar from a freaking place, when you got like a candy bar, like a Three Musketeer or something like that, even the miniature ones, you were like, that was like the the pinnacle of candy that you could get. Because usually you're getting these darn butterscotch things or these little peppermint things and these hard little candies, and you're like, oh, this is terrible, right? Now everybody has the same candy. Everybody has a giant bag of those Mars, and that's what they're passing out at every house. So there, if I was a kid, there's no like, the candies should be diverse, and it's not anymore. Now it's the same thing.
Yeah, man, you should have came to my house. Like I was giving away full-size Reese's peanut butter cups, full-size Kit Kats, bags like the Sour Patch gummy bags, like these, like full-size candy. I have so little of the fun size stuff. It was all just full size.
Yeah,
because the community center I volunteer at had this big event where people brought candy, but they brought more candy than people showed up. So there's just so much candy. Like I just filled an entire trash bag up. All right, ready to talk about Star Trek Enterprise?
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna do that. All right, we're talking about Star Trek Enterprise and why Star Trek should resurrect Trip Tucker and completely ignore the final episode of Enterprise. And I want to start this off with, I completely agree with everything that's going to be said here today. Completely.
You do?
I think the final episode of Star Trek Enterprise was a fine one-off episode or whatever, but it was such a total toss in the towel, weak sort of. It's hard to explain. It was such a bad way for that series to go out. It paid so little homage to the series that built up to it. It didn't like it was like the showrunners were like, I'm just gonna we gotta quickly finish this because we were canceled.
That's not what it was, though. And honestly, I there's a lot of problems with the Enterprise, but Rick,
Berman,
Rick Berman and Rick Berman really wanted the finale of Enterprise to be good, and he and his co-showrunner, who Brandon Braga, they actually they wrote it themselves because they wanted it to be good. And the problem was they were just a little bit too absent from the community. And now years later, they can admit that there was a mistake the way they ended Enterprise. They didn't realize that they weren't giving Enterprise its due by ending it on the holodeck of TNG.
With Frakes.
And I know what they were talking about. I know what they were trying to do, because it was like, okay, this is the same era, Berman verse era of Star Trek. But a lot of people didn't think that way about Enterprise. Like they thought Voyager and DS9 were the end of Berman verse, and Enterprise was something different. So while Berman thought Enterprise was part of his, what he did with Next Generation and all that, he kind of thought it was all one big family and this would be okay. But that's not the way fans looked at Enterprise. Enterprise was kind of a different thing. And so it took something away from Enterprise when they basically said it was a holodeck story that, Riker was watching, and it's like
so cheap. It's so cheap to me.
I can see how you might think it's clever, right? And how that could be a clever thing, but it really does cheapen the whole story of this. And later on, they would go on to say it was a mistake, but they did put their best foot forward to try to tell a good story. And they were being canceled, not because they necessarily wanted to. They needed to stop doing Star Trek. They were not telling good stories. But the guys who were telling it, people like Terry Matalas and some of the other people who were at the time kind of running Enterprise, had a lot of great stories to tell still.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a shame we didn't get more of it. So, which is why. And hashtag Terry Trek, Terry Matalas, if you're watching this, just know we want you to do to Enterprise what you're doing for Star Trek Picard Season 3 and finishing out the TNG story. We want you to come and finish the Enterprise story. So just hold on to that, Terry. He's probably going, what the heck? I mean, this one hasn't even come out yet. But listen, after you guys watch Picard season 3, you're going to want him to finish the Enterprise story. And I think it's still possible to do. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, dude, think about this. You can literally say that the last episode of Enterprise was just an episode of TNG. So we never even got the finale.
Yeah, I think it would be hard to bring back Enterprise in the way it was before.
Right.
But I think you could do some sort of revival that carries on the story and even brings, Admiral
Archer,
forward. So there's some things you can
you can literally bring Trip back too, right?
You absolutely could. He's a great sci-fi actor.
And you think about this. You bring him back, you resurrect Trip, and you go, and you just have a one-line thing like a point in the first episode where he almost like dies. You're like, "Woo, that was close." He goes, and someone's like, that was so close. Some people might mistake you for dead there, bud, and just keep moving on. Almost like the holodeck story just got the story wrong. Right. And you just move on. You can literally reboot this whole thing, do the temporal wars with Admiral Archer, have Trip be a part of it, dude. I mean, like, let's be honest. What's her name? T'Pol, whatever her name is, I forgot the actress.
Oh yeah, Jolene
Blalock ain't doing nothing, bro. No one's working. She was like, I don't want to do any more Star Trek because people are gonna only know me for Star Trek. And then she immediately stopped working.
Yeah. People only know you from Star Trek. I'm sorry.
Right, it's all Jeffrey Combs. He's still doing Star Trek. He'll come back 100%, bro. And we need more Shran. We need more Shran. Like, I don't know. There can 100% be a connective tissue, a series made after the fact. This might be the only time I say that a prequel will be worth it, only because we never really got to see the end of these characters.
Yeah, they should also get a proper send off.
Right.
But listen, let's start with one proper send off at a time. So after February comes out and everybody's drying their eyes over Picard season 3, then we'll start talking about Enterprise.
Yeah, we start we go get a whole change.org thing going. Do it again.
Yeah, or everyone come down to Alex Kurtzman's office and say, listen, we need to talk.
Yeah, Scott Bakula is not working right now, and we need to finish Enterprise.
We couldn't get him back on Quantum Leap, and it's really frustrating us. So can we get him back on Enterprise, please?
He's like, I don't even know Scott Bakula.
It's like, who? Scott who?
All right. Trip in the novels didn't die. He went into Section 31 and they faked his death. Yes.
Yes. Yeah, they did.
But
it's not canon. Sorry.
But why not? Let's do that.
I mean, you can make it canon, but it's not canon. Yeah. Section 31's tough, although you can use Section 31, I guess. Just do the Daniel's future guy stuff.
Yeah. They need to bring Trip back. Or I'm not going to read this whole article because it's not. You guys can go check it out. It's on Screen Rant. It's very good. It's a very good article, but I think we've said what we need to say here. They can totally bring Trip back, aka B. They can finish the send off for Enterprise. Like, they can really do it correctly, and they don't. It doesn't have to be a new series. It can be a mini series or a little movie or even one of those short treks. Like, you can definitely do a one-off episode of Enterprise where you sort of send these characters out correctly. And I think that fans would love it.
You need more than a one-off episode, though. You need more time than that. You need a movie.
A direct-to-streaming movie?
Something. You need something. And you could do it. You could do a revival, an Enterprise revival that somehow ends it properly.
Yeah, you could. Now, the question is, will they ever? Well, I'll tell you this. I think that if Terry doesn't stick around, they won't.
True. Yeah.
Right, that's true. So
it won't happen without him being around.
Everyone needs to watch Picard season 3 because A, it's amazing. B, we want more like it.
Yes.
All right.
That's it.
All right, moving on. Oh, more Quantum Leap news, bro. Look at you. Really?
It's from the same article too, which is cool.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, yeah, right. It is. Yeah, that article is actually, it sort of sucks because I can't use my ad blocker. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
So we're going to get to see all your fun ads. Cool. What has Brian been searching for recently? Here's a question. Oh, we got somebody who said here, let's see. Thought this was a good question. What is our favorite Enterprise episodes? From Paul O'Kelly.
Ooh. I gotta say, any episode with the decon chamber.
Season 1. No, season 1 isn't the best season.
No, it's not.
That's funny that you said that.
I would say, like, honestly though, I really liked the Zindi storyline. I loved it actually. And I do feel like some things were off about it. Like, Enterprise is not remotely perfect. There's lots of problems. But generally, that the whole idea of the 4 species evolving on the same planet is fascinating. Like,
yeah, that is cool.
So rad. Aquatics and aviators and insectoids and reptilians. And I guess 5 species. It's super cool. And what happened to the avians? They died out. In reality, they didn't have the budget to make bird people. You guys realize that,
right? Yeah. I like Paul's. I like the thing you said here, In a Mirror Darkly. Of course, that's a lot of people's favorite episode. It's when you flip everybody on its head and give them mustaches and goatees. And we love Mirror Universe. Mine, though, I actually like the Klingon augment virus stories.
Yeah, and
I love them trying to like help TOS's explanation of what happened between TOS and TNG with the look of the Klingons. Right. I liked them trying to do that. And I think that was kind of my favorite part. I really wanted to see more Enterprise.
And Regeneration was good too, Yorkshire. You're right.
That's a great episode. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really clever way also
connection to First Contact.
Of connecting First Contact. I thought this was great. Cool, really cool way of doing that. All right, let's talk about Quantum Leap and Magic Williams, but more importantly, we're going to be talking about how Quantum Leap does LGBTQIA+ correctly. And there's a way to do it correctly, and there's a way to do it incorrectly. And we've argued in the past that the way to include LGBT and to bang that drum is to don't do it at the sake of the story, but do it instead as part of the story. And I got to tell you, we think that Quantum Leap is doing that this season.
100%, Brian. I think it's well said. You know, there's been too much preaching, too much. Let me tell you what you're supposed to think. Tell me how about you do what a TV show does and you just show us the way things are supposed to be. Mm-hmm. During Ernie Hudson's interview here with Black Girl Nerds, he talks about how Quantum Leap 2022 is bringing families together and has a multi-generational appeal. He read a post, he was talking about this with them, where someone who's non-binary said their parents love the show and that seeing Mason Alexander Park, who portrays Ian Wright, helped the parents of that person to see their child's experience differently. The parents never really approved or understood of what their non-binary child was going through or understood it. But being able to look at that character without judgment has allowed them to view their child in a very different way. And he's saying it was very, very powerful. Now, I would say that the fact that Ian is just a person doing a job and hanging out with people and having an experience in their life while being a non-binary person without telling us, you know, how you should feel about a non-binary person is the secret and key to the parents understanding this. It's like, okay, wait a second. You know, all I want for my children is for them to be happy and to feel like they're living in a world that they fit in and that they're comfortable living in. And what Ian's character is in Quantum Leap is doing just that. Ian isn't an outsider. Ian doesn't have strange situations that are messing with them or making their lives more difficult. They're just living their life. They love their friends. They're having a good time, and they're doing something important with their lives. And that's what these parents saw. And that's what every TV show should do. You shouldn't be afraid to, you shouldn't be bringing in, LGBTQIA character, just because for the sake of doing it. Do it and treat them just like they're everybody else. And then people will say, wow, that's normal. Okay. And we'll move on, and we'll now, and now families like this will be able to understand how it's possible that their concerns about their child may not need to be worried about, because every show is showing you the difficulties, the trials, the tribulations of what that person is going through in that show, and why they're struggling, and why it's hard, and why nobody loves them, and why it's terrible, right? And they're experiencing all these things, and the parents are saying, oh my God, this is what my kid's going to go through. I can't support this.
Right.
But instead, Quantum Leap's just saying, hey, we're all having a beer over here, guys, and we're watching the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Cool. So that's how you do it. That's how you make a TV show where everybody's included. So.
Right. I agree. Yeah. Again, the story, a lot of these shows that lean into it, it's almost like, is this show made to tell this story, or is it made to preach this message? You watch Star Trek Discovery and you're like, is this show about trekking through the stars? Or is it about this particular group, and they're wrapping it in Star Trek? And I gotta tell you, it not only cheapens the experiences of those groups, and cheapen the experience of the viewer that is learning about those groups, but it really cheapens the foundation of the show in which you're grouping them into. So all around, that method is can only cheapen everything. The show, the characters, the groups being represented, it can only cheapen it. And some people think that they're trying to help, but in reality, they're just hurting their own cause, and in the process, destroying the franchises that they've attached themselves to.
Well said. Well said, Brian.
Thank you, Shane. You too. All
and
right.
that was that, man.
And that's all we have to say about that. This is a short one.
Subscribe if you like this. If you like our reasonable, rational takes on how the world works, please subscribe to our channel and hang out with us. And let's talk about it every Thursday.
And even as importantly, please join us in the members section, because that's where we're going now. Yes, we are going to the members section, my friends. And if you're new here, maybe you're watching for the first time, maybe you're seeing this after the fact, I don't know. Here's the deal. We do a healthy part of the show here on Unleashed, and then the rest of the show is continued, not rebooted, but continued into our main channel on the Popcast Prime. The link is going in the chat. The link will also be in the description, and it will be in the pinned comment. And if you want to join us in the private member section, come over there. We're going to be talking about a few more topics. Plus, we also drop a lot of stuff that we will never release outside the member section, which is very important.
Right. And you also get first interaction whenever we do reviews on shows and different things that we do, we always do it with the members first. And then it might come out as a clip later. So if you want to be a part of that and you want to talk with us about things that are going on, we have these great conversations with our members. It's really like a family in there. And so come on by and hang out if you want.
In the words of Chris, members section, things get unleashed and unhinged.
Yes. And it costs less than a blue check mark.
Costs a lot less than a blue check mark. Suck it, Elon. You know what's funny is
and you have clout with us.
I think it was last week, the week before, when Robert Meyer Burnett came on and was just like, we were in the members section, and like there was a moment there where I'm like, well, I gotta stop recording this. Like, I'm gonna let the members see it, but like he is like divulging so much information that I know he won't want
anybody to know.
To see here.
Right.
He just went
very, very careful.
He just went crazy. All right, guys, that's where we're going. If you guys aren't joining us over there, that's cool too. We will be back next week, and we'll be here again on Tuesday for the review, and other places. We'll be back if you're not joining us. But if you can join us, come on over. If not, then we love you. Please hit subscribe on your way out. And we'll see you either in the members section or we'll see you next week. One of those two.
See you guys later.